くらいの月日が流れたのだろう。長い長い年月、私は待ち続けていた。母なるクリスタルの加護を持つ。
My villain arc, time to move toxic, I feel the part. Heartbreaker, I'ma go start breaking feelings. My psychopath there, I'm killing hearts. Living like me might get difficult. Shit that I get into might leave you still at heart. But I want all the smoke that you giving, anybody can get it. That's just how I deal with the cards. I'm finna take what's mine and all the shit you got. Gang is kinda falling with my rules of the hearts. Living legs, butcher shop, pool full of red in my eyes. Just a toast to the dead, no facade. Move through the flakes, all the fries are the proof that I'm next to the pop. Wait just one little minute, they think they tough. Well, I ain't timid. If I pull up acting real rough with it, would it still keep the front and at the door? Play with me, you get finished simultaneously. I'm the villain, you can bark the park, it's hard to talk all you want, but fuck with me, a homie, you might get jump, 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 jump. Okay, okay, okay. Jump, 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 jump.
Shit in the Armageddon. Fuck you with me, then I'm on the ready. But told me to get him. I said that I got him. I hit him. He looked now his body heading. Ain't got time for games. Eyes on me, you look wrong, bitch. I'll put your body on display. Had me playing God today, man. I'm doing the shit in the Armageddon. Fuck you with me, then I'm on the ready. But told me to get him. I said that I got him. I hit him. He looked now his body heading. Ain't got time for games. Eyes on me, you look wrong, bitch. I'll put your body on display. Had me playing God today, man.
Bitch, I'm the man and they can't accept it. I manifest it. I'm all in my bag, you see the receipts. I got a dream and I plan to get it. This shit only come to you if you let it. If you ain't ready, it swallow you up, I can guarantee. It's true what they say that the higher you go, it get harder to breathe. I move with a gang full of killers. They can hit you from deep Reggie Miller. Yo, they say I should stop with the violence, but my mama didn't raise a no quitter. You ain't surprising me. Promise if you making money, I want me a piece of that just like a biopsy. Hating niggas, be quiet, please. Walking this bitch, I'm the man. All you little niggas wouldn't understand. See me and they ran, eyes in one again. Bitch, I'm in demand. I can see them niggas obviously mad. Feel like a god today. Losing I can never tolerate. I'm finna dominate, no stopping me. If I want, I can pull up and
I put the shit in the Armageddon. Fuck you with me, then I'm on the ready. But told me to get him. I said that I got him. I hit him. He looked now his body heading. Ain't got time for games. Eyes on me, you look wrong, bitch. I'll put your body on display. Had me playing God today, man. I put the shit in the Armageddon. Fuck you with me, then I'm on the ready. But told me to get him. I said that I got him. I hit him. He looked now his body heavy. Ain't got time for games. Eyes on me, you look wrong, bitch. I'll put your body on display. Had me playing God today, man.
Wait, I am him. Got him looking at me like a monument. At the center, I'm bigger like monolith. But I'm not with the crowd, I don't follow them. Had to move, maneuver, smooth, go through them. I'm cool, pursuing the truth you was hiding with. I've been really cool off the violence, but I can still make them peel like psoriasis. I think it's clear I'm a go. X my peers, my pen is a spear that I tote. Words like a weapon, they fit what I wrote. I'm in a tear, you ain't near what I'm on. When I get there, disappear like be gone, never mind. When I'm here, disappear like a ghost. Cheers, when dizzy appear, you toast. Watch you get pinned to the wall like a post. Wait. Look, it's been a fact, the pen extract, the illest raps, I spin it back, I spin them back, they spinning raps, we spin it back, the spin is cap. If he's still intact, we gon' finish that, put a round to his head like a fitted cap. It's a new era, I ain't into that, I put it in it that, if you push me then
I turn the shit in the Armageddon. Fuck you with me, then I'm on the ready. But told me to get him. I said that I got him. I hit him. He looked now his body heavy. Ain't got time for games. Eyes on me, you look wrong, bitch. I'll put your body on display. Had me playing God today, man. I turn the shit in the Armageddon. Fuck you with me, then I'm on the ready. But told me to get him. I said that I got him. I hit him. He looked now his body heavy. Ain't got time for games. Eyes on me, you look wrong, bitch. I'll put your body on display. Had me playing God today, man. The shit
a god to a heathen, man, you don't know what you started. Blood dripping down, I never tell you I was all as well. Don't you know that I've been bad news? Man, you really must be brand new.
Jack the Ripper, sadder that you couldn't catch me quicker. Now I'm back and taking half your liver. You was half alive, now I'm back to finish Jack the liver. Know that saying swimming with the fish? Well, I ain't a swimmer, and we at the river. Let them dive into the dimmer, Judge J. Does everybody rise for a killer? Different motive when I rise for the women. I just see a nice throat and I die for the killer. Yeah, cover looking so sweet. I swear death becomes you, so I'll keep a foot on your neck till death becomes you. If you sin enough to the death, then death becomes you. Yeah, I swear I've always been a gentleman. I never leave a mess tidy, clean up all the evidence. Evil, man, ain't nothing but a resident. So welcome to the den of my experiments.
What's a god to a heathen, man, you don't know what you started. Blood dripping down, I never tell you I was all as well. Don't you know that I've been bad news? Man, you really must be brand new. What's a god to a heathen, man, you don't know what you started. Blood dripping down, I never tell you I was all as well.
Hurt people, fact I lurk people, hurt people, bad for sure, evil, they'll see the madness. Yeah, I serve people, they're evil, back my purge lethal, their sequel, rap they spurt bleed, and perp leave them black. I love your color, but it's subtle, let me turn it down another level. Pull the blade and it's no longer muddle, funny so clear when I'm hearing muffles, Lego dummy, butter knife when hitting muscle, gutter with a dummy, quiet in the gutter, from the gutter, now I'm gully when I gut 'em. Guess that happens when your mother doesn't love you, I'm a killer. The wicked is septic, habitual sickness, repulsive, repugnant, malevolent, and wicked. Any synonym I fit the description, and I'm on a mission. You fear gods, I put fear in their systems. Knife thrust like a spear on a piston. Got a man, I know fear is indifferent. Got a man, I'm not fearing these bitches. Got a man, they can feeling these bitches. I'm a man, but the ceiling is different. Palm piece, but I'm wielding it different. Palm piece, but I'm killing your bishop. No king, just a battle with wheels in my ring. Better be on your kill shit, you swing, better hope when it kills me. Tell me your final wish. I'm seeing the red in your skin and it's feel like psoriasis, feeling violent. I talk with emotions and play you, I'm stringing the violin. That's a violence. I sent you the clues and you're still acting like it's in hieroglyphs. Cause I'm too smart. The second you think that you caught me, you see it's my prior hits that I silent. It's coming in focus, they see the atrocities I have done on its violence. The summer's so fair, I don't have any other asylums. I'm a sirens. I'm covered in blood, I can stand as a toll of a dying fist. It's the final clip. I'm a pop, 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 pop. If you get up, you'll die again.
If you wanna be harder than me, better tighten up. Yeah, we come in and alley with punching. Disrupt the function, cause interruption. You wanna smoke, then your walls are combustion. Hungry for beef, but can't stomach the rumble. They give me the finger cause they f***ed and they met them. Said all my brothers just peace in the family. They say I radiate like Air Force energy. But whenever I step, ain't no one checking me. That's not no remedy. Trying to kill me off with a shot to the top, but I'm not no Kennedy. I stop for my ops, I'll scotch my enemy. If y'all wanna box, you now wanna parody. Me and Zeke ain't station here to play games. Two shots in your block to a war zone. You like, wait, couldn't finish it in one go, so I leave it for the job, bro. No porco, no porco, no porco, no porco, no porco.
Compassion's not here in my head. Trashing them, catching them, keep them like pets. Since you can't call on your batches of titans, be frightened, I'll take a bite of you instead. Like Ash, I will catch them all. Sword to toe. Creatures got secrets, no need to talk. Holding it down, make the others balk. I'm a scientist, crazy as in my walk. I'm in to see you, feel so excited. Eyes up, jumping like executioner from hell. Be a demon, you might get tested as well. Move up the ranks, I'm prepared. Don't do that, my smile makes them scared. Visually, I can see you seem impaired. All these experiments, no titan spared. Oh, you
understand what it takes to kill a man. Blades spinning at your top like ceiling fans. Steel stops longer than a sprinter van. Solid reads like the shonen genre. Gorillas in my jeans, I was born to lead crowds. Off around the edges, never cut around the corners, but I'm still taking peace out. Heart game crazy, this ODM hot from the logo. You flock to a bozo. Hardcore drop, I know how we got out the art, now we on that horse back like polo. Stuff to Aaron, cause he never airing on the side of cars. Wary of the area, they scary of the Titan problem. Survey fit how I hit dope pop. Flowing on lines like I'm tightrope walking.
Weight of the world on my shoulders. Remember them days that I could move a boulder. Won't be getting any older, so fuck it. I'm raising hell until I'm kicking the bucket. I face the fire prepared to die in the smolder. They brought the smoke to me and thought I would duck it. Now the heater on me causing the ruckus. A natural disaster, I won't even touch it. I'm the most intelligent in the spot, no doubt. You so irrelevant, you ain't got no clout. My soul irreverent, burner hot so loud. It's the mind of prison, well then a nigga broke out. On king shit, I ain't even got no crown. All business, I ain't even gotta slow down to the no now. Moving low down, no sound till I get up in the cutting position to blow the whole town.
Never letting up on the gas, got liters. Why a newcomer think this track can beat us? With a catalog, don't even matter half my features. They ain't had to battle like us or had to see blood. Hopping on the wagon when the sun's back and heats up. See if they around with a flash for the breeze comes. Been it from the jump, they and that's did a season. Slash an opponent, that's a grand ceremonial moment. Cause I'm cutting up a ribbon, they open up. Still kicking to the skill of a stroke of luck. No forgiveness, I'm a prick and I hold the grudge. Honey in the bag, gonna run like the egg. Word to Sasha just ate, now I'm wanting my bread. Buzz when it got to your head, rushing ahead, now you're cut from the neck.
Look, spotted in the metro. Okay, hear the tech though. Niggas fly around, we gon' box them like a neck fall. Keep the temper Allegro, rest assured of death though. Press foes, all I need is see. I don't wanna see no flesh foes. I don't wanna have my dash stroke to the death note. Shit gon' be a mess, bro. This why we so close. Put it to the top, though. Got a nigga, let's go. Everybody claim they tight. We're pushing the God. The following me ain't none but a myth. Beside of my kick, my wave, this skill too smooth for the chicks. Zeus my hip, I shoot my stick. Foo-foos and crips, I'm few is rich. Who you bricks, boo, who you dick? Who this shit, this shoe is fake.
California, this filter keep me focused right. Quiet when I speak, tell me up when I focus right. Wall break like the rumble of the Titan mic. Big IQ enough to counter Titan heights. OC, like a one MC. OD gun dig, I'm a 2 OD. Ultra hard still I have them RIP like the daughters of your man. I'm the OG3. Dominate. Y'all are the roaches out. Terminate. Give me your heart rock. Confiscate. Congregate, calculate. Amputate. Top white food. My body's like a spinning blade. Typhoon. That's what you call a Beyblade. I'm a knacker man known to get the dagger in. Power in the blood within. Y'all don't really want it then for real. For real. For real. For real.
And Summit War. Hop on the scene, run it like never run before. I got an arsenal, bitch, I got guns galore. See it flash and it boom as a thunderstorm. We at the top, know the haters are sick of us. Pull up with Letty, get outlined like syllabus. That nigga think he the shit, then he getting flushed. Tony Hawk chopper, it kick when I flip it up. I call my goons and I know they gon' find us. My money longer than Chuck's ass lined up. Corn on your head and you fill up like plumbers. That 400 seconds, then time's up. We on the way if he's talking on ham and shit. Chop on both sides.
I just gon' sandwich him. Hop on the beat, you know I'm finna damage it. My money long like the motherfucking chapter said.
My money long and your nose after rapping. Your pedo is shame, you ain't real boy, you capping. Don't be direct if you ain't about that action. If I want that chicken, I will get it cracked. Like which came first, the money or the lead? If I'm kicking at the lead, if it's money on his head. It's better than my oven is a mile long. Power in my line, so my money finna pile on. My hand can't hold all this money no more, so I got me a bag and I run in those stores. Pussy, you don't keep a gun in your Porsche. I've been getting money since 2004 at least. Accounts ain't accruing some value. For you, I think money ain't what it comes down to. My money long like it's fucking strong. I always been running off with it.
My money long like committed relationships. All of this counting got cuts on my fingertips. Money is something that I'm never playing with. Play with my cash, in the case what you dealing with. Messing with gang is a gamble, you facing it. He pull my card, I pull heat, then I'm acing him. I got a big amount, your card is heckin' slim. My pockets out of this world like Invader Zim. And it keeps getting better. Money around me, the green is my shelter. Stay with the bank, yes sir, that is my pleasure. Rappers cap and say it's what they endeavor. Money long, it comes in all different measures. Money long like it's a parental lecture. Money long like it's the time of this record. I love the game, yeah, I cheese for the cheddar.
My money so long, that shit is gone. Big block just that I'm with all day long. Trying to rap, that's a stretch like a song. I hear him just, he get smoked like a bomb. Baby, come with me, I know you need pleasure. Pussy or booty, I'm down for whatever. Tweet patterns all over my sweater. Before the 50, I don't care when it's big tip. Clock, it don't sit on my hip. I'm waking up on radioactive. Pop out the 4Runner, we finna dip. Drop naked, how we hit the strip. Boy, I can't chop how I want to on this. Boy, I can't talk how I want to on this. Stand on the guap and we taunt you on it. I don't apologize for being lit.
My money long as the line for a keyovers. You need a verse, get in line, that shit long as the universe. Your bitch is kinda bad, but I gotta do the worst. Give me some nudist maneuverers. You niggas stupid and stupider. If you want static, come back round. Them niggas I rap round, don't back down. My money might wrap round the surface of Jupiter. My money autonomous, run up like Sonic. I feel like I'm stuck in Metropolis Zone. If his money longer, we meet up in person. Now my money longer, his wallet is gone. My money long as Bianca Belair here. Hell yeah, she need a seat and my face is a chair. Yeah, I guarantee she gon' sing like my hell yeah. Praise God, my money long as he held.
Money longer than a dynamic minute. A goddamn a minute. It going ham a minute. They ain't finishing no shots, they just scamming with it. Long as a marathon, a span of binging. Longer than a one-piece wrap up. Too long like a Hellsing ratchet. Big shit, motherfucker, better back up. A well done stink, motherfucker, cause I'm that tough. Like damn, when they hear the song, they need to get comfy and prepare for dawn. No, really, I'm serious, swear I'm gone. I'm Rapunzel, but bitch, I've been here too long. Longer than the name in Hawaiian. G-shit in the game, I'm a giant. You always been a lame, don't compete, cause my money's so long like a CVS receipt. Like,
bend it over and I'm tryna fuck. He sipping on green of the green like it's tussin'. She giving me top and it's sweet like a muffin. I'm cussing and fussing while she keep on sucking. A demon in clothes that cost more than tuition. I ball like I'm trying in Detroit like a piston. I'm calling the cops, I'm scamming the bitches. If he like the top, then he ended up missing. And my money long on my back like a songs that will never release to the public. And I'm out in Publix with Mari, I'm getting a sub and I'm pulling on strings like a puppet. And Holla CG never wanted to be on the gulag. It's sad that she never had Dunkin', but it's probably better cause Brian said if you watch hentai, it's Boku no Pico or nothing.
My money long as the way since the last leg. Pay enough goons I could turn you to past tense. Stacking up dollars and you pussies lack sense. If you're stepping up to me, then you lack sense. All black whip with the shiniest accents. You cannot afford this model. Talk to your bitch and she's wet from the accent. Dripping like a water bottle. My money long as the ramp for a ski jump. Your money keeps getting shorter like speed runs. My money long like a redwood. Keep up pulling the paper direct from the tree trunk. My money long as Numenor. Ultra microscopic silico volcanoconiosis. If I see red, then I split 'em like Moses. Your money short like the life of a glow stick.
Yup, I'm the boy that make the dough. You know that that's a fact. My money long like a toilet paper roll. I wipe my ass with cash. My money long like how long I'll be dropping them classic raps. That's not a lie. My money longer than all of y'all money combined. All of the money is mine. My money long. My money long like the sound right after hitting the gong. My money long. My money long like how time feels after hitting that strong. My money long like when me and your girl made it happen. That was all night and the day after. Alright, you fake rapping small fry.
Sir, we still do not have a conceivable measure of length of your money. Could you please give us a more accurate description? Alright, fine, I got you all, bruh. Imagine the wait time to download every game on Steam. My money longer than that. Damn. How long would it take to drink all the water in the sea? My money longer than that. If you lined up every human head to toe, what would it be? My money longer than that. Take your time to sweep up all the dirt on every single street. My money longer than that. So what's my money not as long as? Long enough to give any girl satisfaction. I'm asking at the till they're still processing my transaction. My money hella long and they still record the reaction. So I'm like, oh man, that's a whole lot of money. But believe me, you can go bands for a minute. Money carry on, stretching like the captain of the sea, and I'm stuck.
My money long like the wait for a black's purse. So you know that shit long as a mofo. Kicking shit straight out the dojo. My money long like the string on an infinite yo-yo. Yo bitch on Tinder, I know cause she matched first. Yo money shorter than me on my last nerve. Yo money shorter than Chuz, meanwhile my money long like Pangea. That's a damn shame. Y'all just want handouts, yo birdie on campaign. Stick filled with lead pointing, click till there's hand pain. Shit light 'em up, they just wishing for a lampshade. Like if they feel like got bad aim, they gon' go home like they Dorothy. My money's still on like 40. Niggas talk big but can't even afford it. This is my starter flow, y'all been out touring these.
Glock finna rock like the top of the 80. Meaning the dog will forgot the appointment. Sick as a scab in a topical ointment. Sink to the bottom of the body with warning. Punching the shit like a ticket is feasible. I need a chick that's submissively bold. You penning your raps, but your shit is unreadable. You rapping for dough, but it's not money longer than whale call. Hollow shells, you sticky like smell. Dude, it's sus as fuck owning a crib, my nigga. Every day someone stuffing your mailbox. My money longer than Japanese penises. Studio crack, now they tracking my credits. Rappers be whacking a pack of degenerates. Gulag gang, no one actually.
My money long as the patience for pussy that Sims be exuding. My niggas is ruthless. Ferraris and Bentleys and all of the roof. No point in competing, money undisputed. Wait, money so dumb they just gave me the bank. I don't write check, I just hand them the blank. You got some bread with the facts I'm chasing, I'm not gonna lie. It's fucking insane. Money causes an economic balance. I guess I'm making money from really really happy. I just got a castle and put it inside a palace. How did all this money even happen? My money on fee fine. Fumble the bag. Now let's credit on decline. And my paper, he need him a TI. I'll never go broke. I've been blessed by that divine feeling.
Broke ass bitch better get you a bus pass. My money longer than white beard mustache. Fucking with peso, you gon' hear the gun blast. Don't love you cause you come fast. Italian leather, you know what I said it. I'm on my shovel, I'm minding my business. He say he want beef, he probably chicken. My money long like the Bible, Christian. I'm chopping bricks like my vocal clipping. If he a bitch, his squad probably bitches. And if they all bitches, well, it's finished. My money long like accepting forgiveness. My money long like they're waiting for Christmas. What? And it's January. You fucking with peso, I don't let the gun speak. Fucking with peso, I'm gonna watch these. Sanji's dead.
My money long like the cipher, it's like for the dragon, the Draco, I draw it. Real niggas know money talks in my pocket so loud, got a rotor that live in my wallet. My money long like this beat, I extended it. My money long, get it run on like sentences. Stacking my lettuces, rolling with menaces, came out the crevices, records like tennises. Slims block out, got it looking kinda roomy. Stop him out, bloody forces, Nike trying to sue me. Now he's top redder than Sakura Sawasumi. Had to run his fade, he was talking as if he knew me. Fire dog, do me. Low slime, goomy. Smashing 10 tails, I was fucking with the juvie. Now they're talking to the hand, call me Shinichi Izumi.
Life sentence, my money long life. Fast and furious, cumulative showtime. Yours more like an anorexic bitch co-size. Bomb version Chris Paul, nigga got no dime. My money longer than a payment on timeshare. Long as that bitch neck from Little Nightmares. Block shots flying, grant a broke nigga flight fare. Chop beam alongside and specialize in eye care. Pew, pew, right there. Your money use high chair. Zero Sue Sam as my blue on the high tier. Kicks with the pack, money stock as a spike there. Sparking the whip till the cop is a knife flare. Sir? What's up, nigga? Pardon me, what was that? Shut up, nigga. Give your broke ass the right to get your funds up, nigga. Gotta talk to me again to get you done up, nigga.
My money longer than a One Piece manga. And that shit long as fuck. If you think your money longer, I'ma call you bluff. Want the smoke, I bring your pressure, better cough it up. Money longer than the wait time at a new Mikey. Longer than the jail sentence of Pooh Shiesty. Longer than the time I was put a dick in your new wifey. I don't care if you do like me. What is the outcome? My money longer than the time that Kendrick Lamar had to drop a new album. I'm in the middle of your ex and you will really think that my name is Malcolm. I am the man in my city. I'm going ham in your bitty. Blunt in my hand and it's sticky. Yeah.
My money longer than let out the pencil. He acting tough, but he's softer than tinsel. I'll shoot choppers, I blast with a missile. You're not a hero, so let's just be civil. My money longer than how far you reaching. These hoes all on me whenever I'm tweeting. I fight for fun, I don't need me a reason. I'll let you two rest, but this ain't for season. My money longer than time they been real. I'm not a therapist, fuck how you feel. I already ate, but his verse was a mill. I will not smoke you, but I would've still. My money longer than Mike D been working. My money longer than Rem has been serving. I'm in the back and you know I'm observing. You in the trap and you bitches be lurking.
Marked up for death, ain't sparing bitches no longer. Don't buy what you selling, all that scamming's why I kill mongers. Let these bullets crown you like the chalice if you won't conquer. Money mad long like a widow, niggas twit long. Stats soaring like a raven, okay, where your O's then. Hammer hit hard as store shock you just from its whimper. Money long like the loading screen off Sonic 06. I could end your career for the world even renders.
Are you a mad scientist? This shit's crazy.
Eggman, I'm nice, why these niggas tryna play me? Caught a nigga deep in the peaches of his princess. He tried to beef, left him pushing up daisies. Yo, money short like the Sephiroth supernova counter. 10, 9, nah nigga, fuck that. Carrying weight on each song, got a hunchback. You wishing for death to me, turn a chopper bust back, bitch.
My fellow Americans, like to introduce to you my favorite singer of all time. McGuire Music on Twitter. I really like it when he makes the funny poop jokes. Take it away, bitch.
Hey, my money long like your dick. Hey, guess I'm broke. I just made off with your bitch. Bye. Now you alone. Hey, I do not care who you with. No, I don't. You a dope. Yeah. Now you see her then with. What? Now you don't. Look, my money long like the time you wait for my slow ass to finish your verse. My money long like the Golden Gate. You bridging connections to work. I know that I got some opens. Hey, you slob, I can't get in a word. Hey, my money long like when porcupine stab you and how long it hurt.
My money longer than Ty Wild dropping tracks. I got that easy bag, bitch, I be dropping racks. Niggas be saying they got it, but don't really got it. They making way less than I paying tax. My money's longer than One Piece. That's cap. It's looking like K-Flow. Y'all better lay low. I gotta pay low. Been on the street, watch me stack all these pesos. I love you, bitch. I never stop loving you, bitch. I'm talking about the money. Now the water's looking sunny every time I go and flick my wrist. Run up on me, well then we can get active. You better go when I pull out the gadget. Got 'em all choking when grabbing the biscuit. I'm shooting diagonal like I was a bishop.
My money long like Lord of the Rings. Extended cut. Bitch, you ain't got cash, you just pretended bunch. My money stack up, I ain't expended much. My money long like autonomous sensing meridian response. Nah, fuck that shit, that's way too unorthodox. When I'm flying fire like Endeavor and Hawk. Counts high and higher, I'm the one with the stars. And you can get boxed up, you can get mopped up. 5'8" on your money, still need to get propped up. All this paper on me, never get a girl knocked up. Still gotta rap more? My money long like my dick in my band. Your money sure let you don't use two hands. You cannot fuck with my plans.
Money been massive. Fucking money longer than lifespan of a mattress. Money it be massive. Money I be spastic. Money can better took it cause money it be magic. Had a fall with me full, no infinite doma twice. Chick active baby 5 to the metal side. If she pull up to the crib, just your chick fit your yaki, then I be up in your bay like older white. My money like my money longer than hand time playing boy rossless. My money longer than Tower Wild topless. My money longer than anti-artist sexual body is down with. My money longer than time that it takes to go to school, graduate.
My money long like Tagashi hiatus is greed like the island I'm now one to play with. Money Pinocchio line like the bay. She been bumping off it like I'm on the playlist. 9 o'clock, I'm like starting a day shift. Fuck 12, I ain't taking no lunch break. 4, 5, and a 9 like I left work early. Really shooting, stop claiming this pump fake. Fuck the bitch, she a 10, telling friends T-Rex when he bone, no paleontologist. She want a full ride, I could pay a whole scholarship. Money bags, but as deep as Davy Jones' locker is. Dribble turn a sneaker to a slipper, no moccasins. Harry Potter stick finna lifting like Leviosa. Your money short like the distance between this blicky and your brain. Embedded been getting closer, bitch.
My money long like I'm waiting on Patrick. Hands they be shocking, so they call me static. My money long like a life or death shit. You walk out the house, I know you a bitch. It's 42 quick, it's up on your lip. Now watch it go bang like a carrier stench. My money long like the list on this track. It's 45 niggas who rapping right back. That chopper go sing like it's stuck in the play. His body get lifted like he on a sleigh. When they come to that money, I'm needing my pay. My money got longer, they lifted my rage. I'm stacking my dough, it's fuck how you feel. All niggas they yellow but loud like a drill. It's not matter cause they what I see. That my money longer like Sesame Street.
My money long like the tail of a comet. You pay me a fee and you'll see in my wallet. My money sick, my money vomit. Instrumental, I'm a stream for profit. That boy bitch trying to dog fight. His money shorter than all of his watch time. Taking his guap and his thought in the spotlight. Might give her back if she giving me plot line. What? Metal in hand. If you cross me, then God strike Mega Man. I'll turn his block to a bomb site. Limousine, get him took out like a prom night. What? Okay. Johnny's employer. My money got blue face. Looking for a new for a tie. But shoelace. Only time to get good up to the moon.
My money long like the wake of the day. Bullets like GTA, even a take two. Mess with the homies, nobody gon' save you. Bag by as long as Persona 5 plays.
My money long like I'm pleading Persona. Yo money short and it looking like Yoda. My money long so it look like a boa. Yo money short it look like Protozoa.
Spent a long time winning. Giannis has Kumpo. I put a scar to his face like Izuko. His music on niggas skip like a Zuno.
My money growing, that shit be on Dynamax. I got too much so I use it as biomass. Saying your money is long while you lying, man. Got enough money but I still ain't buying that.
Things have changed. One thing for certain, I will always have long money. Son, my money look like my last bitch. 6 feet tall with my boss, her basket. See, I'm the starter. She sit on my face like a bitch and I don't gotta ask her ass. My money go like them Tyler, them niggas done hated me. And them niggas still hating me. Only difference is the pink got a shade of green. It's only blue when these niggas come pay to me. He want a verse, say how about a beat? While out and I bring the squad, I compete. got the strength. If that bitch that she wanted, I cop the thing. Came with Dracos and Benz on my Kyber thing.
Chill of the fog and the stench of the night. Time to unmask the object and hide. Clap on the junction and cause more disruption in London than general strikes. Streets can be lacking intelligent life. Tools on my body, I'm dressed at the nines. I be inflating statistics for murder, so they be forgetting the man, but remember the crime. Ay, bringing back the dark days. They be at the yard looking hard at a mark grave, stringing up a G in the air like a bark place. Hit the sharp blade, glitz scarlet to the archway. Wants a parlay, but he looked insane like a fan in a football game. So famous they took the name. How they bringing more destruction than a bakery, a pudding lane. They cannot Adam and Eve it. All of a twist, they want more, but they squeamish. I'm looking right through the weakness. Piss on a dirty, fuck all that gossip, the queen shit. That smoke like a steamship, they got that smoke like an e-stick. I down them faster than cheap drinks, act like I'm Churchill, I fight on the beaches. Don't give a fuck, I know heroes and Greek myths. Looking at the hue of the corpses, cutting off supply like a drawbridge force it, fear like a painted portrait. Killing my blood, you're a tourist. Gonna kill a god like I'm Dawkins. You don't want war with the haunted. I'm putting pride in my prejudice like Jane Austen. Ain't no Olympic games, I'm singing tunes of the dead. When I'm in the rain, I'm like, light in the face is pain. I'm living wounds in the head like I'm picture frame. I'm like, Marcus the woe like I'm William Blake. I'm literal in my words when I pick your brain. When the last bit of life gonna slip away, then there were none like a Christie Page. I'm late but no Assassin's Creed. Cause my destined kids in factories. Up the racks, I keep that bag on me. Not an animal, the whole menagerie. Tragedies like Hamlet scenes, I'm in a different category. A masterpiece, I'm living bodies white like Chapel Streets. Writing rhapsodies, grand finale as they rive in agony. London Bridge is falling, it's falling, it's falling. London Bridge is falling, it's falling, down. London Bridge is falling, the city's now in mourning. London Bridge is falling, it's falling, down. London Bridge is falling. London Bridge is falling, it's falling, down.
I was given choice as a child to deny who I'm destined to be. Instead, I prepared for the trials, but the trials were not ready for me. Because I'm more than a fighter, I'm a survivor who's guiding you back to the light. If you follow me, you will be called on to give it all that you got. Cause I'm not gonna hide. Get up higher, where do I sign? Already writing my name on the line. Pick up a saber, give it a light. I'm nothing like Vader, ain't no kin of mine. How long have I been in hiding disguise? Had to go dark to get rid of my light. Hope isn't lost, see it in my eyes. I'll be at this sunken and riddled with lines, but I'm getting finer with age. Give it some time, check out the weapons I went and designed. Equipping a blaster, clip to my side. I never said I was civilized, you'll be bullseye like a wombat. No McClunky in this combat. If I'm struck down, I'll jump back in even more powerful than you'd imagine. Because I'm more than a fighter, I'm a survivor who's guiding you back to the light. If you follow me, you will be called on to give it all that you got. Cause I'm not gonna hide. I'll make this a fight that you remember. If you haven't yet, you'll get dismembered. Check your appendages, oh what's left of them. Guess I'm just a cut above the rest of them. I've been ripping and tearing them down, just like my poncho's wearing them out. Scared of the dark, but fear won't turn me.
Isn't it Skywalker that they prophesied to bring a balance out the dark and light? He's the chosen one, then we chosen wrong. Trust me, I met him and he's not the guy. I would never tap into revenge and hate. If I need a minute, I meditate. And yet I can't forget the past. I'm here to the end and it's best for last. Because I'm more than a fighter. I'm a survivor who's guiding you back to the light. If you follow me, you will be called on to give it all that you got. Cause I'm not gonna hide. Doesn't matter that I'm unconventional. After all, I had to watch the temple fall. Skywalker turned and tried to end us all. Had to say pat me, defensible. That's the reason why I'm a Jedi who never mind if I bend my rules. I'm all hands-on, talking dual blades, making double edge. We can do the face. I'm a master of various stances, practicing many precarious dances. Adding a blaster, there's an enhancement, and I'll be standing where resistance is. Fight the empire, span no expanses. They're gonna strike and we'll parry their glances. I'm not surprised when they get the chance to sit there giving me nefarious glances. Because I'm more than a fighter. I'm a survivor who's guiding you back to the light. If you follow me, you will be called on to give it all that you got. Cause I'm not gonna hide. You know I'm more than a fighter. I'm a survivor who's guiding you back to the light. If you follow me, you will be called on to give it all that you got. Cause I'm not gonna hide.
Y'all know me, still the same EV, the old 133, but I've been low-key, trying to level since I can't do streets, so I'm really more than normal when I slam those beats. For generations, new evolutions brought revolutions, now introducing all the brothers that the others have been striving for, cause I'm saying that this ain't even my final form.
Heard he talking hot, I'm a wetty mug. Got so much drip, need a sippy cup. Pull up on these cats with the ice beam. Come around my way, baby, serve sub. Water splash on the bitch, Aquafina, my drip, water gun, put the hydro pump to its mid, hydraulics on the whip. I use pros for the rims, I'ma swerve on the hole, watch him drown when I spit.
Shocking to your ligaments, I've been cracking the voltage up. Currents causing dissonance, AC/DC, your thunderstruck. Loud, I know you're listening, bringing noise, how I interrupt. Gory, I know how I'm feeling like a god. Call me Sparky, I blur it like I'm a Nari. Static, shot no verge or circles, you can't harm me. Conducted it like Hillary, you better bring an army. Defibrillator, I will end this in a heartbeat.
Already came with a flame chamber. 3K degrees, I'm burning the state of nature. I blaze it like a volcano when I turn green leaves fire red. Now that's a game changer. Heat waves coming and I'll spare no survivors. Each day sunny when I flare like a lighter. Ain't no mountain higher than the kind where I'll be piling up your graves like I'm on fire. They're picking me over the recipe. I'm a gem, every gen, like I'm on the SP. I can use some friendship. You don't wanna test me, never need a sunshot unless I'm an XT. Next me, nah, see the future, it's gonna be gone fast. When I'm psyched up and deliver a strong blast. You're a copy and now you mess with the wrong cat. So I'm switching out when I hit him with baton pass.
Black out on the track cause I'm a dark type. Back in with your girl, she told me that she in the dark types. Yeah, move smooth through a dark night. I'm synergized when I'm synchronized with the moonlight. Yeah, I got venom in my veins. Get me hot like the sun, then I might just let it spray. I ain't come to play in the shadow where I lay. Oh, you thought that you were safe, but really you was prey.
It don't need to be autumn for you to fall. No jack, but you know that I'll be popping off. Yeah, I got the green, stepping on the scene, and I keep on winning. Call me Charlie Sheen. Grass tight, but you know that I will take you to the ground. You a coconut the way that I just put you in the mound. Oh wow, now you're out here deceased. This ain't Naruto, but don't mess with the leaf.
Ice trip on me, there's a vault drink. Fussy on the box, getting caked at the icing. Topic, you're the polar opposite. Try and copy what we got. Cause a blizzard and it's just straight overwatch. I don't own the watch, but another wrist still cold. All over the shop like a drifting snow. Don't wait for thin, I'm gonna chip this cone. I seal the deal, but you'll still be froze. Yeah, Sylvia, bitch. When it starts shipping, it call me tits. I disarm you, click when my aura emits. And you're trying to give and drain and kiss on my tip. Moon blast on the back, then I have to dip. Goes right the tail whip, my ribbons are lit. Yeah, I got so many bows, I'm lavish and thick. Baby doll eyes, make a dragon hit it and quit.
Y'all did not anticipate me to run it back this way, but I cannot run away. I adapt to change. I'm in all the games when in battle may come and cracking eggs, and I'm tackling. I'm that fox. I'm the baddest face. Check that box, cause Evie Squad does not take no loss. Hoes mad, can't leave this, see no sand attack, but this game will miss me. More cash be switching like y'all can strip me. I bite like bargain nine, so y'all flinching. No, they
resist me. When I'm flowing on the metronome, you can't predict me. I be busted like I'm psychic and she wanna lick me. Nah, I can't default, but I'm into Misty. Oh, okay, let's go. Gen 1, my throne dice cold like an article, no fly. My foes die slow, got the venom like I need a rhino. Everybody wants free rides. Y'all beg back my ass, I'm not laughing ass. You all thrash my back, cause I carry track back when rap was spammed. You want a top champ, meet me get the top, man.
Told Elm that I was willing to help. Suggested I pick a starter that I should keep to myself. Ready, I'm no beginner, will never run out of health. Level up by the second, cause so much damage is dealt. No doubt, I'll be the greatest trainer ever created. I can never be stopped to show them humiliation. Cause I do it a lot, my party's always amazing. I'm not the one who they anticipated. Dropping every bar like gold. It was so cold at the peak, I can barely even feel my toes. Weak, everybody that I see is toes to the feet. That would never even be that close. And I'll clean up the match, just show them who's laughing. That's how my speed to get the first action. I beat 2 regions, that was just practice. They only got half of my 16 batches.
Hey yo, let's go. Home's gonna show yo how we bring the balance to the world. Cause you know we can take it to the skies. Changing up the flow before your eyes. Ground down, we don't go slower. Cause there's nothing to cry yoga. Don't you must skip this torture. Cause we're Trico, we only going higher. You know we made the rules and we be rocking with the juice. So D50 for legendaries ain't got time for food. You better show that respect. Going harder than our cheese packs. Be a water fire. We're the ones who inspire. Keep talking trash, it's clear to see you got nothing on me.
It's the dawn of the new age, stepping into Gen 4. Battling all day in a home, call it sin. Oh, pip up, how I'm meant to be the best. And I switch up, empty palming at your chest. Diamond, pearl, platinum, I'm shining with the drip. Ready, dark, raw, always on my nightmare shit. Giratina 808s when I smash distortion. Diaco with the time, I'ma erase it. Bury your bodies, cause we need less Paul. Twin leaves beside me, 2 shots, fuck 'em all. With the lustrous shine, got the space and all. Spear pillar looking down, no way I'll fall. How that simple doof, took a kiss as my coupe. And I'm flying around with the sun as my roof. Game shark, got the rules, then it's vibe with the tools. 16 plates from a god, RCS in the lose.
Pass the mic to this crafty guy, bringing the action, scratching your static sprites. I am the mastermind behind black and white. Here to school you trainers who can't rap and write. It's like I spit trouble, you spit rubbish. When you hear that clink clang, better duckle it. I'm a hero to the people who need me. You're a zero, peace out like Victini. Meet me in the city and I'll take you on a detour. Eating up the subway like it was a team sport. Nothing but net like Durant in these streets. You're never gonna need to wonder who spits heat more. Now the king is returned to his castle. Blood on my hands, not talking about plasma. Gen 5, baby, good luck catching them all. We leave them out like the laundry, high, dry, gone.
White try hunt, tag in whites on like space python. And 8 fights strong and gonna hide son. 5 stars like girder with them heavy bars. Travel far with the goal, working hard. I'ma be a champion. Play it right and make it rain. And as you saying your train is ready to multi-train. Gotta bring an A game if you wanna step to me. And I'll meet you when I hit you with a thing in face. Challenging the best and setting truth till this resemblance. Beat out other teams, beat if I gotta be on pheasant. Quarter is quarter, gotta stuff set on the web. And testing the best in the area to strengthen. Hitching out cheeks like a gal's playing a moongas. This Gen V getting evolved exclusive. Ain't gonna fail, take a seat or move over. Got him on ropes and I'll win for you, Nova.
Out of all your rivals, gotta know that I'm the best. Always pushing you to succeed, I'm the true test. Don't worry, cause I've got your back. Team player, better be prepared. We're on the attack, on the road to victory. All the legends will be ours, we're making history. Got my abs all ready, yeah, we're bringing the doom. I'm real competitive, this shines through. When I get on my meow stick, they ain't slick. You know we hit like a brick, let them talk this shit. In the end, we'll fall to my Ontaria. So hard, it'll leave a scar. I'll set the bar near and far, gonna be a star.
Aloha to the Alola, not the type of flip a boy like a proton. Ain't finna dip, I'ma scare you like a rotom. Victory shit for a boy down the road. Like oh my god, Z move finna hit my shot. No shoes gonna walk my walk. Executorial with my whoa. Ice on me like a sand slash. Pop a bitch with a skull bash. No sash and you won't last. Hit your girl with a rock smash. All new shit, no mimic. You go ghost on a boy, I in it. Any real way you spin it, boy getting laid by the time we finish.
Yeah, alright, man. I see you're in my nation. You can see a black cab in the talons of a raven. All my dogs keep a weaponization. Not the kind of place you wanna visit on vacation. Keep a stick on me, Mr. Rhyme. Elder Goss when a big round hits your mind. Might twalk your watch, I'm on the naked time. The Glock's hammers lock that keep it stored on side. Through the ice, hit your block up, ice cube. Leave your body cold, boxed up, ice cube. If you got the rock consoler, you go ghost. Got you pale as the cliffs on that old coast. Out on the town, getting wasted down and round after round after round like a failings. Taking anything I want like a bailiff. I'm the victor, remember the name, bitch.
Ass shit, and then you already know. We be running up the show, it's like I'm 40 years old. I be winning all my battles, I'm like 40 and 0. Your team get a rocket, this is how it normally go. Now peep this, I'm the champion, and ain't nobody slaying him. Mid condition player, ain't nobody trading him. GBA with fire and I'm spitting flame again. Overheat, turning everybody to my name again. Jesse James, we don't play by the book. I might turn to Giovanni, how you post get
one won't catch me, I'll rule two. The game got a loose screw. I ain't talking about the magnet attracting. The fans get loud when I'm battling. And Graham said to catch him, so I had to do that. Now my whole squad nice, I eradicate trash. Trust no one. What with them cannons at, bro? When my Blastoise shoes, that's a stab in the back. Popping off, cause I got the sauce. My pocket monsters got the Pidgeot in front. The final miners, whatever you started off, a counter cross with mine. Cause I saw your flaws and exploited them. Bars that'll rock and they gon' kill. Cause what I ride on par with a horn drill. In the ring, they gon' pay like a phone bill. OG champ of the game and a boss
Call me
still.
Dragonborn, spitting dragon bars, pumping dragon blood within my dragon heart. But I don't need to lay a hand upon a damn guitar to rock the stadium like a Tyranitar who got his paws on a fender and we're jamming hard with the flair of a Charizard. I am a star. Answers running the show while a Kangaskhan calm, but I'm not stopping when the curtains are drawn because you see I'm like a Steelix. I keep it metal, elite four, Dragonite, hype my beam, hype level. Kinda feel like Smog looking down on some hobbits from an Aerodactyl back with fat ass pockets. I'm sitting on riches in my favorite robes. Wanna make it rain on your ticket, Gyarados. Sauce in the legendary, yet far from fiction. So the Pokedex says hard in my description. All in, man of steel, but no solid. I'm real quick like this rock is polished.
Flawless with the beat so melodic, weepy so scouted, Stephen and Wallace. Oh,
Showdown, yeah, the meta's gross. Looking like you met Medusa when you stepped to stone.
you get to trident like Poseidon when you hear the flow. Facing two atrocious foes, that's a Gyarados.
Better know you're in home when you see me soaring on top of it. Flying, I'm like a comet with Latios as my rocket ship. Crash land like the Oxus on you novices. Bury you like a fossil is and leave a hole bigger than Sutopolis.
Drop and drip, the water is falling away from goddesses. Floating right out the dome as if water spats at the top of them. Fame, we're in the hall of it, all of us at you leave. Cause when we dive in hot beats, know that we go mob deep. Oh,
Legends, obsessions, you see me, I stand in black and white. And battling, traveling, stand, I'll show you how to do it right. Squint up to me, you know I won't comp. I don't toga miss, cause I'm a god chomp. I'm a full-time scholar, babe, and brawler. Guaranteeing that no one go harder. Histories, mysteries, galactics and tactics. Battles, Cyrus, doesn't matter where I went, no baby. Everywhere I go, you know I'll be on it. Right on the floor, you know it's my line. If son came to one, face the champion.
Beast in the booth, so don't you forget. The further you travel, the older you get.
I'll earn your baton and keep the race running. Champion squad got on locked and I'm loaded. Life in black and white, my dragon type will reveal true colors. The time is right.
I'm pulling up cause they say we the bomb. My ex-cavalier be the champ like LeBron. Better run for cover when I pull up with the Rona.
Rona got you under the weather, I'm in the zone.
A double scoop of trouble, know to leave them in the coma.
You better call Nurse Joy cause we're star supernova. Once a pupil got my iris on the prize, the student becomes the master recognized.
Surprise from Iris, homie Iris. Everything I got my feet planted, that's an iris.
Balloonios goes around the globe. Gamma's about to go beyond with a mega stone. And the stars soar through this art of war. I'm a whole new type of monster. Check the God of War.
Gorgarces, dropping bombs on the beat, coming towards me, gonna get a trick and a treat. Imperial Queen, movie star and a beast, waiting for your pretty anthem, looking like a legend, like a DNC. Sweep your team with my Tyrantrum, gonna clean up your scum, you're under my thumb. Put you in the lid, you're gonna bleed to the queen. I'm gonna light up the screen like a TV scene.
aloha to the Alola. Wait, Elio come challenge me, I put him in his place. I keep it 100, my hit rate Aerial A's. If you pull up tryna bob us on the ring is my domain. Too many talk tough, can't even rock rough. If you're not in my team, get boxed up. Hating cause my pockets thick, fat, small legs. Talk trash, two cannons on me and they talk back. Y'all stuck in my shadow for real. Team story messed up, don't cross me, I'm ill. Get dope to cash up, got time to the deal. From the paper taking cuts anytime that I feel. Yo, we getting lit in this ish. Tryna battle, we leave them in a predicament quick. Yeah, this money on my wrist, got super ponies. If it's me who's your opponent, then you know who gon' win.
Me, hopping in for Rion, so easily the best. The bigger the Leon, the bigger the DPS. Give it a rest, pick up the quest with the ready direction. Could've sent to direction, but I've no sense to direction. No better collection, no competitor yet to mention. Throwing the best, flow in the west till I'm collecting my pension. No slowing, no forget retirement. Two roads to the dead, ahead violence and new. Now I'm the man of the moment, standing alone in my tower. However hand that I'm going, amateurs don't understand the scope of my power. How are you gonna counter the hardest bars and counter in charm? It's hard to fire, it's hot, you're not. Kinda like Siberia, I'm serious. Right here with the right here, we get right criteria. Really just to have a champion good time. I'm Mr. Rhyme, damn, it's a tight jam. Thank you, goodbye, damn.
Who murders trash will murk and brass with stats to crack the dirt in half. Who lures and traps your searching rat will turn it that to 30 racks. Who's earning massive stacks Stacks of cash with Persians perched upon his lap. The word is fact, you learn it that no person has unearthed this badge. This is crime rap, with divine rap. Digging traitors' graves with fishes like it's Minecraft. My lab's making mad gods to my lapdogs. If you face the bad boss, you're about to blast off.
Don't fuck with the boss, or you can chalk up a loss. Give no fucks, I got rough skin, Sharpedo. Hydro pump, bitch, I reload. Have a wheel of a time, Kyoga, huh? Team Aqua gon' take the world over, huh? Know who the alpha when you hear the laughter. I'll be the winner when it's over, huh? Look at the drip, move like a man possessed. Call up my dogs, intimidate you. You know we as bad as it gets. You get smacked up if you act up. You can ask those on Team Magma. If it's legends, then I catch them. Let my balls hang, cause they masters, yeah.
Magma, that's how I thought. No, the ocean could go like a volcano. I evaporate. No emotion shown for a whole damn zone. Any stones that I throw, the impact will shake. Causing a chasm, a big crater. It's not my body, can I hate ya? Scorching the planet is nature, is my nature. So fuck the climate, primal instinct is what drives a man. My final plans to buy up all the world as private land. I'm here to lead, they gon' hail me like a taxi cab. I'll make 'em bleed if they're stepping into Maxie's pad.
I'm headed to peak with the most righteous, so you better remember the name Cyrus. I'm on a path that is intertwined with a debt that's paid when the world goes silent. My isolation is proven useless, still viewed with a clouded hubris. Watch as I prove my distorted views pin against a few kids who think the world is worth saving up for creation. Undefined rights to die become vacant. I have no patience for this time wasted. I'll become God, your judgment is waiting. I wanna bring rebirth and you fear a woe and no pain, a world with no spirit. Make space and my plan unfurls and I'll show you the birth of an ideal world.
Yeah, act like I'm living in a fantasy. Not afraid of loss, a bit, I've seen it all. Old and young when they abandon me. So I'm getting the truth, take deal. You talk a lot in your shield. Only try to do what I think is right. I couldn't really care how you feel. With any mission, they notice my diligence. Where's my beauty and terror than innocence? I found that heroes are often more villainous. How do we even notice what the difference is? I'm fulfilled, even if it gets me killed. Yeah, I know that isn't practical, but even still, wait till I show you my skills. Guess that's why they call me natural.
I'm a savage, even though you didn't send you a bastard. Put your body on a screen like plasma. That's the info team, get the beam at your back up. Hope you're too pro cause I'm toxic. Blast off of your team like a rocket. I said I rest me, I'm down being requiem. Turbo wins in my shit, you can't stop this, stay out of option, ayy. I'm on a mission that don't really get it though. You and your feelings, I don't really feel it. I have an ambition, you're not in my vision, I'm not what you're missing. I've been up all I mastered this. He thought it was sweet, I ain't having it. Pulling the streets without dabbling. I do it like black and attacking them.
And now it's time for repentance. I'll make this world in my image. I'm burning down this whole planet with mandatory attendance. I know you can't comprehend it. Can't stop this ultimate weapon. This ugly world you're protecting is hoping true evolution. If you don't mind, mind your nose side. If you don't side, I'ma hold this. Got my finger on the trigger, I'm about to go down. Go down with the whole ship. You call it insane, I call it some flair. I'm bringing the pain. A beautiful world that won't bow to my name. Start up the battle, I'm into the game.
Take a step back, here's a milk that you don't wanna mess with. On a dark path, ain't a president who's blessed with an ultra beast. I ain't afraid to unleash, betrayed by my own family. I got nothing to lose but my nihil ego. Gonna let it loose, it'll drop your ego. Better beware. Hey Lola, ain't got nothing left for me. I'm here in ultra space. Ether paradise ain't the place I envisioned anyway.
Life was unfair, I was dealt with a bad hand. So for those with bad luck, I open my bad hand. They say I'm a bad man, but actually if you knew about my strategies, you wouldn't be as mad as me and realize I was Batman. I saw me real fucking seed crystal, cream of the crop with no seed crystals, And just because my dance hit different doesn't mean we are forgetting. No forgiving, we get buzzing if you bugging. Fuck cuckoo, we no discussion. See us coming and they running. King, I'm a team, no runner. Man, well, Lola cause destruction.
They ain't got shit on the president. They know I carry that medal for meddling. Everybody being hesitant. I'm in a high gear, my drive is evident. Check here, know my drive is real, cause the end is coming and the time is near. But I've been had a plan, I ain't got no fear. I'ma take the lead, I'm a volunteer. I got balls to steal, you a peon dude. I'm beyond Drookie, level like a relay boom. Talking down is easy, could be in my shoes. All I see a bunch of cap, I'm in Leon's room. The Sion's doom without me, tragic. Feel like a phoenix that rose from the ashes. They know what separates rose from the ashes. Same thing separating poses and action. Peace.
Prepare for trouble.
Man-made, am I only a copy? These humans cost me, I'm one of a kind. You bargain your life, these Pokemon stay to the service, no purpose, they're out of their minds. I'm not just a puppet, I strike back. Got your fear in my clutches, no life hacks. I got clones in the hundreds, that's my gang. You don't like that, got a lifespan, bitch, I'm quite mad. Trying to send a message like a synapse. You cannot defend, you finna fight back. Cause I'm not a weapon for a price tag. See the people moving like a time lapse, leaving bodies breaking out of my lab. You can try and face me, but you'll die sad. There's a climax, make a motherfucker wanna cry ass.
in a new tune, smacking your whole team till you're black in a new moon. I'm tracking a new route, you lacking the juice, dude. This SSN drip, I'm happy to cruise through. I act like a loose nuke, I could blow any second. I go where I'm guessing, could catch me on the throne in a minute. I don't need directions, I'm rolling with a set of exceptions. Settling for second place is not an option. My crew is incredible, stacking heads on a totem of my executor and sending all your Mazda to the medical. My group is impeccable, we resistant to the flying scabs. Our blast towards arena sword, doesn't matter whichever way. Put a beam up to your chest, make you Iron Man. Solar or fire blast, burn them like a frying pan. Hydro pump a wet them, send them higher than a geyser can. Squad full of legends in the making, stocks rising, I got diamond hands.
Snatching up a starter from Professor Realm's lab. Steezel for the stealing, you ain't never get it back. I'ma shove you to the pavement if you try to interact. Call the police, tell them I'm the one who really get the badge. If you battle with the best, you getting bullied. With silver rival, you gon' need a silver bullet. Trigger pull that I'm pushing my Pokemon to the fullest. If they ain't strong enough, I rid them, cause I'm not with that bullshit. I'll take you out in mahogany, golden rod to the eye. With a put a stop to Team Rocket because they all a week. Honestly, biologically, Giovanni, my papa, he said that he gotta leave. He's a coward founder that I don't need. It's probably why I don't have me a heart of gold. But over time I learned there's a silver part of my soul. The barber inside of myself is what I thought to control. Even got to keep the starter restored. Hey. I'm off the wall, call me watery, unstoppable. Pass the ball and I'll accomplish the impossible. My oxygen is toxic, I can feel it in my bronchioles. 6 pitching kick, better send it to the hospital. I got green on my brain, make it rain when I clock you with Mega Galate. You can call it a cute charm, but make no mistake, I got this rock on my chain like I'm Flavor Flav. I'm running with the bay, this sci-fi, this sci-fi. I'll tear you with dog terrier, sky high. Make it say Mayday, used to be afraid, but I'm switching up the game. I'm no longer Mr. Nice Guy. Bad of a bone, prone, the best of my foes. He's the one who's flashing cannons in his zone, alone, the mag in his zone. Give it a nose, written in stone. I'm gonna travel the globe. Anyone thinking that I'm gonna choke, ain't gonna make it through victory road.
Yeah, came in with the thought. Barry wanna battle, better hurry, cause your man is in a rush. Can't even slow him for a Pokedex, so good luck keeping up. And if you're tardy to the party, I'll be charging $1 million. What? I'm all gas and no brakes, rapid dash, lame on fast. Learn from Master Crasher, they crash in my wake when I blast them in voice. That close combat Jurassic, start rap to IA, summer area shit. In the stereo mix, got a terror EQ, I'm a barrier bitch. Yeah, Barry hits your barriers break. Hope the Barry hits because the ape will burn you with the flare and the blitz. Yeah, well, Barry bombs will carry, moms will die in the size. If you care to rock the hair across me, making you slide. So when my parents got the brains, I know I'm not gonna fall. Well, you never had the game, I got you looking like Paul. Oh,
You ain't fucking with intelligent minds. Step in the eye, jam packing, don't stay with a fire. Gotta be ill thinking that your mind's better than mine. Let's be real, not cure unless the Draco arrives. Should've chill, basic bitches be hitting me for the pack. DCG, mad paper, try make it straight from the pack. Never lack, twin Ninas, it's epi pulling the mag. Steady in the same place, always losing the match. While I be moving and moving, there ain't be nothing you doing. Up in the gym, new challenge, my wins always looping. Knew me back when I was fresh, but now the battle of music. Clear body, clink, clank, way to tooly improving this metal on music. It's anybody trying to fight. Putting dots over your head like you enter my sight. You get 6 old, acting like that shit is surprise. I'll make it make Cardi the legend, set his life to the sky.
It's young Hugh, no hefter, I don't play, boy. This ain't a game, boy. Needed the essence for these highs, dogs. Red side on the Draco, lift them like Flygon. Team plasma praying, I let bygones be bygones. You rivals, you try, dog, but I promise time to go. You wandering in silence ever since you left your mama home. Cartridge loaded black and white, they really see a monochrome. Clovers had his hand in my spot when I finished counting down. Unpleasant X in your brain, I like how them thugs wrecking. Pheasant fly with a scope if you pussies dumb. Stepping done, letting up for you losers, I'll never come second. They chant my name, my lines on me, thought I was. Gets his dumb flexing, green on my mind like a sage, I'm too wise. And blue minds, semi-poke rounds, weather like a tsunami. Banana clip on the semi-serum, when do fire and do wild and make him see different the way that you slide.
Too quick like Raichu. I'm the big kahuna in this bitch. Watch me slide through. I don't give a fuck if I lost. I was born to be a boss. If you step into the kid, whiting out is what you might do. All you other trainers looking like food, eating competition like it's malasada. Got the Z crystal drip and you all got nada. This if you wide gon' swoop from the sky if you wanna. Hey look, my shorty a fairy like Queen Marina is. My chances of winning as big as the arena is. Yeah, the keys to the island, nigga, I'm holding those. Haters sleeping on me, no Kamala comatose. Surfing, ride the wave, got no time for whining. 11 years old, but I'm the greatest on the island. They call me cocky, but I'm learning to be confident. I'ma conquer all the regions like my grandpapa did, nigga.
You ain't leveled up your team, best hop to it. To win the league, said you better best hop to it. Like Pikachu, I've been the static, you can have it. It's a way to my advantage, wasn't jabber till you're not moving. Not stupid, talking pokey dollars, but you're not fluent. I flew in on the COVID night, the flight was all smooth. I've proven that you all synthetic, like you type moves. Start brewing, sounds like I Gigantamax, the
preparation to the battle. I like the arcanine when it's time to mix it up, but I'm unpredictable, you know I like to switch it up. You gon' need the task force when I got my Blastoise. Can't stop, won't stop, 96 bad boy. We about that bag boy, Pokeballs in the tour van. Leave you shook like Ash when the doors slam. Took a couple L's, but it's all love till the 45 degrees and now it's all dubs. Since about to get you, have you clawed up. Blame grandpa, cause that's how I was brought up. I think I've really been the best after all, cause it didn't even take a master ball to capture y'all.
I cannot do that.
Oh wow. Listen up and you might learn something. Not okay, Pokedex tech, Okie doke next. Yeah, you think you know Pokemon, but Okie knows best. You better treat your Pokemon like damn near family. There's levels to this shit, and I ain't talking rare candy. 150 of them, go and track them down. To get a taste of the real world, no pal in town. And you might be my grandson, but he no match. I wanna take no credit, but no me, no ass. He sped off fast, he tell the starters then did the dash. I don't know his name, but he'll catch a silver in fact. He dropped his ID with the addy, finna pull up and blast. Now you messing with Elm, I got the eggs in the back. That mean the stats all max, I'm about to attack, I'm ruthless. Mag be in the front, I'm cracking these shells, make them toothless. Pull up to the lab, I got the packs ready for movement. If I see the thief again, it's top, gon' be ready to do it.
Big body come to my region, nobody hoeing me. I've been in the field, people know my name globally. I'm Rayquaza, the crew, you moving, they ain't out of flames. Got him put out the blades, can give him brain trauma. Fuck up on my habitat, you know I ain't having that. If I see a rat, I'ma hit him with the rat attack. You know where the savage at, bitch, we in the lab. Man, I made so much paper, here's some books for your ass.
Mean dress, I can't brought the field looking shabby. Silver fox with a sweet tooth, real sugar daddy. Stoic bloke, showing ropes, the youngest sold in oaks. Still buzzing busybodies, bugger off like Bucket Barry. Once you beat the early, but it dawns on you. Voice of the name into the Hall of Fame calls on you. Beat, repeat, and defeat more and reach a complete form. Be the best, proving now there's a lesson in evolution.
First lady is service, no man in sight. About to give you all a gift, lay the plan out right. Evolutionary knowledge is real black and white. Origins are what I'm best, I feel I'm wrong, let's fight. If you come into Unova, then you know you've got a shoulder. Big city and a G-Mangino, keep it clean, cleaner than a green machine. I'll set you up with the best. You got the balls, prove it, beat it, no time to rest.
Evolution, way I'm changing up the game. Like damn son. Body show, I'm freshest in the face. I'm handsome. See the new dimension that I bring. Hey, the ladies must see Megan's way. They're waiting for my ring. It's a generation genesis of man in the battle. And the synthesis of everything from Canada cows with new drip, smooth hair to Mars. Say thanks, so Rondra, off, sick, touche,
Aloha to the Alola. V-move, got my wrist shot and it's a gold rush. Diamond dancing on me, I can tell them bitches hold up. Big dogs with me and you looking like a little pup. Ain't nobody move like the professor, told them look me up. If I ever fall, I got a bad bitch that push me up. Venusaur beam inside the whip when I be cooking up. Treat him like a sinner when we talk, I light a pussy up, bitch ass nigga.
Yeah, I'm recording history, making my own track. Stepping with my yappa and a PhD, bringing it to the dynamax. From a Tanados sensation, I'll be yapping your citation. 'Cause nobody else got my motivation to learning all about the giant's creation.
Check it, they saying I'm a Gen 1er. Funny, cause ain't no Gen has ever been funner. The best colors, red and blue, the best covers, best starters, best stutters, best megas, best numbers. The single digits get the party started, but party's heartless, your party's garbage. Can pick the parts and try the carcass, but bars the hardest, like Tara's artist. Compared to every other fire starter you could ever think to start with. You'll need to park it, these other gens are weak for sure. They'll never ever be elite enough to beat the four. They try to beef with my trio, they'll meet my Venusaur. Hit them with that solar beam, then I make them eat the floor. They'll need support, they'll probably have to ask Troy. Hey, can you heal our balls? We made a bad choice. You knew that ass would get handed, you lose the trash that I'm bagging. I'll shoot your ass with the cannons, now me my Blastoise.
Stepped out and some gators for the drip, that's that water. And I'm full of holes like Crocs, I'm your falter. I alter your face, boy, you know my style. Dumb to talk with a big jaw like Totodile. Easy target, try to play me. Hit you hard by your chikorita, and you gon' see your Bailey rolling and I'm making big green. Meganium, the sweet smell coming off the flower be the craziest. Lot of y'all speak heat, but mine smoke and shoot. I send big fire back like top flosion. I'm coasting big chopper, everything I spit proper. Every word coming out the motherfucking quill lava. You shorty got low evasion, she ain't hard to hit. She want a journey, I show her these balls as a starter kit. On stream, make a stream while you quiver, cause you watching from a window like silver, lyrical.
Yeah. If you messing with gang, liable to get gone. Switch lane, speed boost when my fire kicks on. We might leave you in the mud. Limbs get drawn, big stick, big arms. Nigga stone in my palm. Got a torrent, put too much tree in my stash. I'm a Flores, 151 my dash. I'm a fire, big tree. Yo shit weak like floor jazz. I don't need fly, kick high, I'm sorry. Watch my tone and watch how I'm stepping. So much drip, but I'm grinding while I'm flexing. Guess that means that
is insane, you can't ride my wave. I be the nicest, king of the ocean, my crown being Triton. Yeah, I see your girl think I'm cute with it. She can slide, catch a vibe, then it's loose with it.
Okay, I'm ballin' like a pig night. Every bar is gas too heated. Believe it, I'm going ham, you beef, and it's gonna end up in a fist fight. Another firefighter, but slightly brighter. My stabby's tired of all these liars that ain't superior to this guy. Asha, what are you doing? These Gen 5 starters go stupid. Listen, y'all, I get the invite. So when I move with the crew, don't get mad, you can't do what I do. Look, check it out. First off, I'm a boss and I mean that. Hammer arm in the glove where I keep that. No belts in the whip, but I beat straps, so you better buckle up now for that heat crash. I'm a samurai. Hoes give me dome when I fold you a goldfish. A bowl in a home to the goats, read the code. It's the beast and it's over. You won't want none with the 3 from Unova.
Bonjour, tell me where it's keeping score. That the kids who came from Mr. Sycamore couldn't be sicker more. Whether it's a knight, a magician, or ninja, you're getting deep six by that team screaming, this is war. Meddling with ultimate weapons, folks are surrendering the French way. Can't defend you, can against the Fennekin, you best break 3D phase, making 4D plays in this game like a chess pin, checkmate. Lick spitting like a greninja with the swiftness, coming in quick with this ninjutsu, making a princess wanna kiss this, kicking it with that ass guy. You don't need to ask why, my brazen axe are a thorn in your backside. Chestnut, I'll tear your spine with this type of power. Del Fox, your ears will light like a fire flower. By the side of body, mind, heart, fighting side dark, rising higher than the Eiffel Tower in your final hour.
Aloha to the Alola. Water on my body, no Primarina folder. Nigga, leave him leaning, the chopper hit like a lariat. Cleave him and send a roar. Keep the heater on my waistband. Spinning through his block, I'm finna turn it to a wasteland. He faker than a spray tan. My rifle got the long range. I take him in a ghost and he floating like a bomb. Put a dot up on his face and he bluer than a Brion. Be on me. Hey, and I'm stacking all my star chips. Green on my mind, got me feeling like a Dartrix. I've been on the wave for a minute. I ain't stopping till I'm finished. Ice beaming on my wrist from the Arctic. Hey, this is Cypher, don't be asking where the chorus at. I've been involved in the fire, feel like a tour cat. And I've been eyeing the throne, yeah, where Horus at. Yeah, I got my head up where the Sora at.
I mean, disrupt the scene, construct your team. Choose between a bunch of beasts enough to beat any morning. It's blood spot a rock, paper, scissors. Pick an overgrown ape that can stick to the rhythm. A rampant rabbit that can kick through your innards. Or a smug neutral from a depressed lizard out in Galar. I can't catch 'em all anymore, gotta catch off. Find me in the watertight gym where the gal are. Time to act, call it Dynamax. In the race, pulls in the face and fire with that. Tap that drum like a Rillaboom playing. Intellion fingers get the waterworks spraying out. Gen 8, tell 'em we set the pace. When I step in the gym, make 'em respect the game. These beady-eyed brothers can't compete when I pop off. My stars will end ya, so you better hop off.
This, that, mascot rap. My dogs, we rats that blast off. That's y'all play the game for. Fuck the starter, now this the main course. The man adapts, the stats meets, the team needs. The type to please, I be nice as League Green. Step into the Coliseum, all you see is me. Never gonna fall, you won't receive these EVs, y'all. Need a level up to above the flow while I'm bowing on the spot, dripping in the stones. Let's go, pull up on the phone. You don't want the damage if you try to touch me. I'm a paralyzed from the static. I'm an addict when it comes to fire flaring on. Got the heat within the league, like the name's LeBron. Right, you, they just riding on the wave. He's gone, the face on the box. Fuck your favorite one, and that's that.
Yo, bounty hunting is a complicated profession. You want to make it as a bounty hunter? It's easy. Make the best deal for yourself. Survive. Rip the beats, make a ran. Remember, this is the way. In the guild, we follow the code. I can bring you in warm or I can bring you in cold. This is the way. No revisions or edits. First we set it on the target, then we divvy the credits. This is the way. 20 bars, the best guard still. New armor, respect our guild. Yeah, this is the way. Stop anyone who get in the way. No escape, no getting away. Yeah, cause this is the way. Mando, keep unlimited ammo. Roll like a commando, the danger is ample. Bones from my opponents, they sit on the mantle. Banished from the surface, we live in the shadows, yeah. Armor shining like the suns on Tatooine. Heart knows no fear, runs on gasoline. I'm like the wind, no noise when I deploy. Y'all poised, just don't team me with no droids. I can't trust them, involve them in no plans. Can't respect anything that can be programmed. That's the cats in the guild if I close the deal. So for real, but only take noble kills. You know the deal, hold the steel, just just to forge it. Fortified like a fortress, the drip is just gorgeous. Technique is glorious, captivating an audience. New Republic is on to a sting 'em just like a scorpion. Maybe it was my guardianness and the will of a warrior. Call me the Mandalorian. And yeah, this is the way. In the guild we follow the code. I can bring you in warm or I can bring you in cold. This is the way. No revisions or edits. First we set it on the target, then we give you the credits. This is the way. 20 bars, the best guard still. New armor, respect our guild. Yeah, this is the way. Stop anyone who get in the way. No escape, no getting away. Because this is the way. 5 years after the fall of the empire, the most precious targets acquired that inspire the chase across the galaxy for an interesting prize. A 50-year-old adorable alien child with special powers beyond our comprehension. A telekinetic with sensory perception. Special, I suspect it, so intense I sense it. Unconventional methods, the child must be protected. So load up the weapons cause we got problems to solve. Stormtroopers and hunters get the modest and dissolved. It's all part of the job. Another day at the office, snipers making me targets. Dreamer taking me hostage. Enemy of the state for the chances that I take. When you think that you got me, I'm planning for my escape. From bounty hunter to guardian, they swept me like a cardigan. Bring the search party in, forgive me for my tardiness. Like Red 5, I'm going in. Never will my story end. The Mandalorian. And yo, this is the way. In the guild we follow the code. I can bring you in warm or I can bring you in cold. This is the way. No revisions or edits. First we set it on the target, then we give you the credits. This is the way. 20 bars, the best guard still. New armor, respect our guild. Yeah, this is the way. Stop anyone who get in the way. No escape, no getting away. Because this is the way.
plate clean. Scrape the plate. Scrape the plate clean. If they hating, let them hate while I scrape the plate clean. Scrape the plate. Scrape the plate clean. If they hating, let them hate while I scrape the plate clean.
Got a body count, and my daughter got a potty mouth. Fuck a shawty and she gotta bring the shawty out. Welcome to the slaughterhouse. Got the Mississippi fine wine, she a knockout, tryna knock me out. Bad bitch, and she really finna kill shit. Fuckin' with me, you gon' make it hit the kill switch. My bitch, yeah, she really finna kill shit. Fuck with the family, she better hit the kill switch. Yeah. Soon as this shit gets shicey, she gon' change her demeanor. Could turn your best shooter to Caesar, could turn your best hitter to Jeter. If we talking opposites, opposition getting dropped out of consciousness. Then she come home and she's topping it, twisting, pulling, shouting, bopping it. If she vanilla, I'm chocolate. Put it on me and she popping it, nigga, I'm blurred. These niggas stressed, I got the best bet. Trying to hijack the wave like it's jet set. Calm and collected, I'm cashing my next check. Bottom my dogs and my boys on a fetch quest. My bitch a princess with a hip chest ratio to make them stare. Any place she go, they try to impress. But she knows she my baby, so she gon' send her back to paleo. Body count, and my daughter got a potty mouth. Fuck shawty and she gotta bring the shawty out. Welcome to the slaughterhouse. Got the Mississippi fine wine, she a knockout, tryna knock me out.
Wasting your time,
and she really finna kill
killing
shit.
your career.
Fuckin' with me, you gon' make it hit the kill switch. My bitch, yeah, she really finna kill shit.
You got
Fuck with the family, she better hit
My
the
bitch
kill
got a
switch.
body count, and my daughter got a potty mouth. Fuck a shawty and she gotta bring the shawty out. Welcome to the slaughterhouse. Got the Mississippi fine wine, she a knockout, tryna knock me out. Bad bitch, and she really finna kill shit. Fuckin' with me, you gon' make it hit the kill switch. My bitch, yeah, she really finna kill shit. Fuck with the family, she better hit the kill switch. Yeah.
Sandwich, because either way you flip it, the bread comes first.
Orderly, white.
Bet your life. I hope your homie a ride or die so I could double the price. If I hate a nigga, I settle it. Dead on the day I kill that boy, I'm fucking his wife. Might take a flight cause I don't like the weather. Let me find out it's greener on your side. You get hit hard, pull up in no time. Comment how I surf on the Grand Line. I've been rapping with ham sandwich. Most you niggas can't afford you a damn sandwich. We the best on the damn planet. Disagree and I kill him in front of the damn cameras. Pull a shotty to keep it a buck. Big trigger, I finger fuck. Muzzle flash, nigga, she such a slut. Big head on her, she bout to bust with.
Pistol on me came with a switch. Nigga Matic came with his bitch. Tell her nigga stay out my business before I hit a stain with a stick. Then you put a chop on his head. If he touch my chain, a nigga drop dead. Whole unit moving lockstep and leave him holy 40, give a blessing. Jake's coming, dump the Smith the Wesson. He ain't talking money, I'm a deafin'. Fix a Felix Tooley, but I wrecked him. Bad bitches kissing on my rectum. Sealing rack stand where I left him. Seal the pack and send it to the next man. Free Dennis, he just got arrested. Tap a shoulder, hope you get the message. Cut out the pack in the back of the factory. Master the craft in the shack full of bastards and actors. A walking disaster who matching me. Slapping around with the Mac if he tracking me. Flak jacket on the front and the back of me. Stat stacker with a couple of athletes. Fiends fiending off a sipping the activists. Niggas never wanna feel like an activist. Hit him with the semi and he might fall back. Hit him with the semi and he might fall flat. Hidden in the city where the lights all black. At the brights on with the python in my lap. And the white fog turn my sights on when I rap. It's a light John, but I write often. In fact, I can siphon all the ice on a nigga wrist if I want to. I could even take a nigga bitch.
This bro called out Yon, she like Ross, so fuck it, the fight's on. I pull up, it's like combos, all I hit her with. And she into this pronto, but I got a personal bubble, I'm like Ponyo. I'm they stand, they turn to fans, I toggle them off they mans, I got a plan to win. God be damn, I kept the candles lit. Drop a ham in on her hands ahead. I'm the shit y'all couldn't manage, DK might go bananas. Off rip, got pricked, I pulled the bandage. I was a kid, my whip spin full with bandits. How to hit the bitch with choke with damage. Y'all counterfeit, you just a copy of truth. Better not catch you around my stay, it's a groundhog day, you ain't stopping the loop. Stupid.
Heckler, pack more metal than doctors, no Jekyll. He mystified, bitch, I'm Mr. Hyde. He got a bitch to hide, we not equals. Grew up on different sides, we at the top of the Congo. Chillin' with gorillas in the Congo. Bitch, you ain't in the Congo. Kings at the ground, keep me at ground, feet to the ground. We don't even wanna see you on the ground floor.
Ham sandwich, because either way you flip it, the bread comes first. beat doing?
That bitch said, "You must be Mario falling off a cliff if you think we fucking." I said,
Bro, you are not funny.
"Ride around town with a guy, eat McDonald's pies. I got on rallies fries. Damn, best food money could buy. Hey, I see a good look. I'm a cartoon, got money size of my eyes. I might go Super Saiyan if I slide. I'm flat like any nigga. Try me. I'm with my niggas. Fucking pressure in the hot. Yeah, jumping through these numbers and boxes. I'm playing hopscotch. Competition full, gas station getting topped up. Eat the beef, I never let it simmer in the crock pot. Fucking with me and I lower lifespan. 40 jumping, so my chopper a hype man. Rare Americans with flame on my right hand. Travel with me, know we carry the pipe man. He posted with a rack like Iran. Let's pull up out the back door, Iran. Heater searing in his skin, no light tan. I will never ever work for the white man. Fucking your bitch, you a motherfucking loser. Taking her home and I do the maneuver. Beat the pussy like a fucking Apollo. With content, cause I am not Chopper Bogo, so it came with a Ruger. Chopper hit him, put him into a stupor. Put some water in the motherfucking cooler. 190 in the PT Cruiser. Hey, that's my theme song. Could do it myself, don't need y'all. Country boy, only care about me ball. Up down, Cadillac seesaw. Cat out the monster, the motherfucker beat raw. Sweep and stick like a nigga playing T-ball. I'm a hit song. All these niggas pussy, all these bitches hot. Hit the floor, grinching through its wager in the Venador. Escanor, riders on my mind and I better for it, better floor it, yeah, better floor it, yeah, better floor it. Hit the floor, all these niggas pussy, all these bitches whore. Hit the floor, screeching through its region in the Venador. Escanor, riders on my mind and I better for it, better floor it, yeah, better floor it, yeah, better floor it. Hit the motherfucking floor, nigga. You can put it like Forbes, nigga. Niggas think you're rich and making four figures. I cannot talk to you anymore, nigga. 4 for a 5 at his fucking face. It can't leave no trace. Roll you up, you a fucking blood, and we know you late. When I'm with my girl, she out her new, she give me sloppy toppy. And niggas think that he touched her, we finna go fuck it off him. Pussy boy, you just put in 2 weeks and I just fucking clocked him. Nigga said he wanted all the static, so we gon' fucking rock him constantly. I'ma make her come and she gon' beg for more. Remember this, our girls are the same, I ain't no fucking whore. Settle this, he said he will fight, he gonna hit the floor. Honestly, I'm a real ass nigga to the fucking core. Yeah, 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 came up out the gutter, boy, I came up out the sewage. Niggas took a look at me and thought I was a mutant. Homie tried to...
Yeah. Y'all know what it is. You get trio. Goku.
I'm a martial artist, master everything ahead. I be raising bars and making modest, and so is a jet. I be net, change your genre to the moon, I raise the stick. Living life like it's a tournament, and no one take the kid. Ain't nobody beat this young enough the heat, I bring the sun in. Who be father? Never knew my father. Ain't nobody sonning, running up and you get done and not the best. Tell me when, hit the globe, had to grow up just to do it all again. Moon comes out, I'm a beast, so it's night-night. Everybody come and get the hands on me, high five. I don't make a wave, I'm a man, I'm the zeitgeist. Always made a point to bring the pressure to pie. Raps off the top, non-nom. Underdog from the OG, Grams Gohan. Keen, make a scene, make a blow like bombs. Stick it like percussion, guess he's Piccolo's son.
Bitch, I'm Goku. Every single barrier I face, I went and broke through. I don't care what most do. Carving on my lane, getting fame from my own moves. Bitch, I said I'm Goku. Every single barrier I face, I went and broke through. I don't care what most do. Get out of my lane or get slain, y'all the old news. Bitch, I said I'm
Goku. I be crossing numbers on my list like a Sudoku. Strongest in the galaxy and I don't even know you. I got fighters lining up to ring me like a phone booth. Make up more abilities than D&D homebrews. Ayy, Frieza how I cut him short, leave him all of blood and gore. Up against the juggernaut, ayy. Monkey but I act more like a carnivore. Maybe call Vegeta, he could deal with all the afterthought. I be teleporting, they think they hallucinating. Strapped up with a warning for brutal humiliation. When I make explosions, they act as my self-promotion. Cause even these fucking boomers have heard of the Super Saiyan. I keep on staying winning at a leisurely pace. Whilst they're debating power levels to the decimal place. Ahead of the game, they losing when I enter the fray. You don't gotta hear the chorus to remember the name.
Bitch, I'm Goku. Every single barrier I face, I went and broke through. I don't care what most do. Carving on my lane, getting fame from my own moves. Bitch, I said I'm Goku. Every single barrier I face, I went and broke through. I don't care what most do. Get out of my lane or get slain, y'all the old news. Bitch, I said I'm
human ability, make it boom like a symphony. Got the Kakarot snapping past the choosing his villainy. But you washed out, watered down wankers through the distillery. Spread your cheeks over the fumes for the chimney. Put smoke up your own ass. I got reason to be cocky, I'm a no-star. These Vegetas get the hump because of Bogart. The Adidas is supreme, I'm dripping so much. Gigi got my key and she got Bocas. This is Wu-Kong fusion with Wu-Tang. I'm built
couldn't possibly push me. I'm the next dark chap, I'm at the top of the bookies. Still got MC to get secondary poses. Like landowners, I'm the reason there's a plot for you pussies.
Every single barrier I face I went and broke through. I don't care what most do. Carving down my lane, getting fame from my own move. Bitch, I said I'm Goku. Every single barrier I face I went and broke through. I don't care what most do. Get out of my lane or get slain, you're the ooh.
Tara's blessings.
Daddy, chill. Put up to the scene. They tryna front like don't you know it's in my jeans. It ain't nothing if you wanna get the beef. There's no way. There's no way. You gon' make it out alive. It don't gotta be this. Cause you can run until you get inside the ring. And you staring down the barrel of a beam. There's no way. There's no way. You gon' make it out alive.
How about the jet when I'm landing? No, but how about the jet when I landed? Focused on that jet when I landed. Inhuman, you can't understand it. Been immune to my head up a handed. So few know the power I'm brandish. One move and I enter the gambit. Two moves and you enter the valley. Three strikes, but for me it's a hat trick. Tough talk to the visitor ramming. See red, make a visitor vanish. Close cats and they visited ashes. Clean cut, but you're feeling a phantom. Cut clean when I'm splitting your atom. We on the way. Think you can make an arrangement, bitch, I don't even get paid. I do it for free, so if you see me on the street, I'm about to make it rain. Maybe your voice better drop that too before I rock your shit and I brought my crew. We on that run back for the comeback. Give us up till I got in that booth. Up and down, top. Fuck to make it pop. And I ain't hiding, we stay outside. You look at them, better let it get moving. I'm more than a human. I reference as a sinner. Say that they do better. Correct instead of saying that you set it off and started set the blaze in a nuke it, bitch.
Put up to the scene. They try to front like don't you know it's in my jeans. It ain't nothing if you wanna get the beam. There's no way. There's no way. You gon' make it out alive. It don't gotta be this. Cause you can run until you get inside the ring. And you staring down the barrel of a beam. There's no way. There's no way. You gon' make it out alive.
Warning. You have entered the danger room.
Sunshade got the mean rays with a bad bitch called a Jean Grey. 3 blades with a clean shade, make a switch face like a deep fake. Running past bitch, we a relay. We just pass sticks in the beam spray. On the mic, feeling like weekend, you the weekday. Shit can get dangerous. Feeling like Xavier. All up in your head, you ain't got that dame in ya. Take a look and clear everybody in the radius. Free win, flip, win free. Everybody get a ray from us. Bitch high, bitch please miss me. I don't even need an alias. I run it, oh. Thought it sweet, I'm the one you should be running from. Took you to my level just to watch you coming on. What a hundred, but the hunters winning summon guards. Everybody wanna disrespect to the fist connect. Talking that talk on the internet, but when face stuff got the list correct. Bitch, I'm the engineer, I'm the architect. I'm feeling like Imhotep. It ain't nothing if you square up. I already got you in the infrared. Bitch, I'm still on top. Heard that you was talking through the vine. You are super villain feelings wanna leap, wanna pull your teeth. I'm beaming all your teeth into a I'm on that devil shit. One, I don't need coverage. I've been disrespected by half men trying to switch direction off. I'm doing it, y'all. But you can be running shit. And sit on the sidelines with the other bitches, man. We the X.
Hey, I'm on a whole nother level. And what's a pest to a devil? I leave him gaping, then I indulge in whatever. He wanna be for the king? Yeah, alright, dream of forever. 1 body, 2 body, 3 body, 4. Now my body count several. Look, bro, don't want beef with a demon. I'm a real beast, not a pup on the leashes. I ain't in nobody's body. Buddy with me, what's he thinking? Little boy must think I'm sweet. When we switch, probably leave his whole team in pieces. Jesus, well, what you expect? To be best friends with a demon like me? Bro, don't want beef with a demon. I'm a real fiend, not some bully little weakling. I done caught bodies in a million. God gotta wanna put on me up and eating. Sorry, not sorry, stupid. Bro, thinking that I play fair, I'm cheating. Whole team get cut up, deceased. See the grain can't shut up my record, I'm beating. Whoa, if we in battle, you get a rattle. Yo, your knees get a weak. They body fragile, treat them like cattle. I'm a wolf clothed in sheep. If I go aggro, they hit a cackle. Next minute deceased. Let's play Sakuna says, don't move till I say so. Now flee. Girl like Sakuna, I'll be your ruler. Headshot through your medulla. Red hot rays like a Kuma for the mimi, canonical friend and foe. We do not matter though, everyone out here gon' die. We're dealing with demons on my type of caliber. Might need Excalibur just to survive. I ravage the land like a pirate, a natural disaster. The casualty number is high. The hunter gon' become the hunter. When I'm on my slumber, I see them all run out to hide. I'm one of the worst type of curses to ever occur. I'm the king of all evil, cause I'm God like Sakuna, I be your ruler. Headshot through your medulla. They wanna duel us, you might get skewered. I leave a froze like Medusa. I'm getting gruesome, you know we cruel. Y'all Caesar, we moving like Brutus. Rare, like an Akuma. See how they tremble when they just Puna.
Top of the game, you were legends. Each got the strength of an army. Cut down a man in a second. Don't wanna mess with the sun in. Fists that are stronger than weapons. Stacking a mountain of bodies. We're gonna teach you a lesson. Don't wanna mess with the sun in. Naga, put him in the coffin like Gara. Harder, I'm a grip and tight like Garda's father. Cause I pour sons like his armor. Old Hatsunade looking like Baba Yaga. I'll make them shake, coming around. They don't stand a chance. A solid snake, hidden sound. You don't hear the experiment on them like Yosis. Lit him like Moses. I make the cure and diagnosis. I leave you looking like Cleo with venom. I bring the most lethal of doses. Oh shit, swallow them whole, that's some pro shit. Bitch, you should know this. Slytherin snake with the potions. Focus, conjure, I'm wearing this. Gets like his clothes. Washing these insects and pop them like roaches. Snakes in the grass like it's walking for the flame. Battle in the valley, will be snakes on a plane. Hate with the Akaski, but I'm still bringing pain. Even like a Roboris here, I'm doing this again. Medusa, how they change when I'm freezing them in place. Operation like the game when I rearrange a face. Leaving right out and afraid, I reanimate the greats. Adam and Eve, you can't trust a snake. Top of the game, you were legends. Each got the strength of an army. Cut down a man in a second. Don't wanna mess with the sun in. Fists that are stronger than weapons. Stacking a mountain of bodies. We're gonna teach you a lesson. Don't wanna mess with the sun in.
Yeah, it's suit not a rip shoot buddy. It's a sick chick that is the fifth of Kage. I've been it, the princess who is Halle. Favorite, I probably hit it, but every time it traders. I try to get it right to my colleague Dan. If I kept it on me, damn, we look out for each other. We thought that I would quit, thought that I would jump ship. But now I'm coming back to avenge my brother. They know me as a medical leader, the ones who powers for strictly healing. Well, that's what the story told. But I'm giving out knots. I should write it in the roof too. I guess his mama name means morning road, but still hands. If you think you're a real man and try to cross me, then you've been a fallen holes and leave with generosity. But if they hostile, see, I put my foot down on them and the ground explodes. See, my chakra abilities is obviously real. I'm healing with my inner spirit, and you shouldn't be killing. This shouldn't be killing your armies. It's a physical difference. I'm in it for bringing the peace, but first I'm bringing the vengeance. I'm gonna be gambling with your life. You better be ready to lose it. And if you try to come on to this, you better be ready to use it. They foolish that they try to ruin me because I'm superhuman, and now I'm gonna give my jewel to my student in return. I'm gone.
Top of the game, you were legends. Each got the strength of an army. Cut down a man in a second. Don't wanna mess with the sun in. Fists that are stronger than weapons. Stacking a mountain of bodies. We're gonna teach you a lesson. Don't wanna mess with the sun in.
Jiraiya on fire, nobody could match my desires. My mission is filling these women, collecting more waifus than Genshin. Gotcha, Jesus of the hidden village, gathering disciples, writing words like it's the Bible. My dedication is tribal, meditation, survival, I like it old school. Sensei of the pain, when I talk my shit, that's toadstool. Looking for the chosen one to pass the torch. A hidden leaf straight off the willow, cause I whip my hair back and forth. I don't really sweat when the fight go off, so now they don't know that she really in love. Someone got my boot that she could get the tongue. I don't really care where your crew come from. Chakra is grande. I turn on the right of Hokage. Got a slick jaw. Yeah, she opened her mouth when I'm pulling up with my ultra big balls.
Top of the game, you were legends. Each got the strength of an army. Cut down a man in a second. Don't wanna mess with the sun in. Fists that are stronger than weapons. Stacking a mountain of bodies. We're gonna teach you a lesson. Don't wanna mess with the sun in.
They wanna talk, but they ain't gonna harm me. Roll right through with the green wasabi. I do a big tsunami. Man, I feel like a kami. Spit so sweet, but the flow umami. They just mad that they late to the party. I do a big tsunami. Man, I feel like a. Tell me they wanna talk, but they ain't gonna harm me. Roll right through with the green wasabi. I do a big tsunami. Man, I feel like a kami. Spit so sweet, but the flow umami. They just mad that they late to the party. I do a big tsunami. Man, I feel like a kami. Yeah, don't deserve to share in my greatness. Every track I make is so sacred. Them just facts that can't be debated. I got men amended their statements. Go complain and say I ain't made it. On their page but state that they hate it. So ashamed my name on their playlist. Claim that Ross has been overrated. Rather be overrated than you. Ain't got the DPS to get through. Sick of their own debated. I got leave and waited.
achievements. Get a meet and then air my grievance. Peasantry, they gon' swear allegiance. What you say is treason, God or not, you're gon' face your demons. I broke the scales and I made them even, so I guess I'm gon' stay repeating. Tell me they wanna talk, but they ain't gonna harm me. Roll right through with the green wasabi. I do a big tsunami. Man, I feel like a kami. Spit so sweet, but the flow umami. They just mad that they late to the party. I do a big tsunami. Man, I feel like a kami. I feel like a kami. I feel like a deity. I feel like a kami. These rappers all pray to me. I feel like a kami. I feel like a deity. I feel like a kami. So what do you wanna say to me?
Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Lone like Joshua. Tell them Assalamu alaikum when I gotta slay him. God of the flame, bringing all of the mayhem, all of the fire, all of the main man gang rolling up like we started crusade in Arabian Nights. Defying all day, then my empire spanning the globe like the Ottoman way. Yours from the sofa to the Ottoman place. I'll help you burn more calories. Wait, we are not the same, man. Better start praying, make it say amen. Feet to the fire, man, it's gonna start blazing. Not 420, but I'll bring the smoke if you hating. They shooting at me, murder in the making. I got the crossfire like you Satan, exposing the tricks, nothing but faking. Turning magicians red when I'm facing them. Yes, I am. Am I the best? Yes, I am. Better than the rest? Yes, I am. From the east to the west? Yes, I am. Am I up next? Yes, I am. Am I still blessed? Yes, I am. I'm the one they're against? Yes, I am. Cause I make them sweat? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Back from the dead with the phoenix, straight at the tomb like the mummy returns from Egypt, never deleted. Now, I'll make the river run red like Moses with the sick burns that I'm leaving. Stand up to me, that's haram, you a heathen. You want your fortune from tarot card reading, mine is from working so hard and succeeding. Look at the jewels, caught in 4K. No, I ain't talking about Joseph that day. I'm to be getting grilled when I say, cause when I'm cooking, the flames will obey. How they claim vanilla ice is better. I keep it lit when I write every letter. Not like a candle here, needs to go teach you the grammar.
شوف عضلي مفتول from كايرو فخري معقول واللي يتحدى يرجع مقتول انكول معاكم محمد عبدول شوف كيف هنا خبرة سنين اعطيكم معرفة تقدر تسأل لو شيء ما تعرفه عندي اجوبة خصمي اوبن بوك ما في اوفر لوك فجأة تلقى نوك انا الاستاذ ما ينفع هم ولا ينفع استاذ مع السكواد مجهزين عتاد مهما عاد وزاد حنا له بالمرصاد الى الامام لو مهما كان هدفنا واحد ده مضحي دمال زي ما قد سوى سيزر زمان سو يا يس اي ام
Yes, I am. Am I the best? Yes, I am. Better than the rest? Yes, I am. From the east to the west? Yes, I am. Am I up next? Yes, I am. Am I still blessed? Yes, I am. I'm the one they're against? Yes, I am. Cause I make them sweat? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Am I the best? Yes, I am. Better than the rest? Yes, I am. From the east to the west? Yes, I am. Am I up next? Yes, I am. Am I still blessed? Yes, I am. I'm the one they're against? Yes, I am. Cause I make them sweat? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Asking myself, will I stay alive? Inshallah. I'm still protecting the squad, whether they like it or not. Taking a shot after shot, but I still came out on top. They wonder how I keep going in heat. I tell them man's not hot. It's a fire bar, have a fire bar, like I'm serving shots from a fire bar. My entire arm's gonna flex more than your entire army. Say you're the best, what you lying for? Look at your pants when I slide in the door. You looking lost, trying to fight a war. Show you the way, let me light a torch. Yes, I am. Am I the best? Yes, I am. Better than the rest? Yes, I am. From the east to the west? Yes, I am. Am I up next? Yes, I am. Am I still blessed? Yes, I am. I'm the one they're against? Yes, I am. Cause I make them sweat? Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
봤어 나는 게임 진 적이 없어 넘어가라 맘에 quick it up to max to battle 착각하지 마 내가 제일 잘 나가 like a solar 빛이 넘쳐 봤어 나는 게임 진 적이 없어 넘어가라 맘에 quick it up to max to battle 착각하지 마 내가 제일 잘 나가 like a solar 빛이 넘쳐
Yeah, and press play. Looking at me like they're reading red names. I've been going from a rookie to a sensei, painted in the colors that be dripping off a wet blade. Check me, acting so old, you're a dead weight. Tempe, looking so bold in your breastplate. Next game, I be so gold, you're a get paid. Killer man, doing so cold like I'm Nestle. I'm emerging center stage. Vital nerves are separate. shadows got the mastering all these questions like I'm interning at Yahoo. Never catch me talking with no randers. I'll be looking at these challenges like they another stat boost. Yeah, that's bad news. Not a snake, but I run with a fang tooth. They could pay with their blood if they have to. Can do. Came through the mud looking brand new.
나는 게임 친 적이 없어. 넘어 걸어내면 crank it up to max to better. 착각하지 마. 내가 제일 잘 나가. Like a solar 빛이 넘쳐. 봤어. 나는 게임 친 적이 없어. 넘어 걸어내면 crank it up to max to better. 착각하지 마. 내가 제일 잘 나가. Like a solar 빛이 넘쳐.
Where I change my image like it's photo editing. Make him grimace cause the tone is deafening. Playing different now but breaking limits. I don't waste a minute cause I'm solo leveling. Sacred sketches that's been wrote in pen and ink. Make him lyrics cause they're quoting everything. Way it's written with the cadence rhythm. I gon' break the system cause I'm known to sever links. I ain't even talking to you. Cromwell like how I topple Gunju. They be acting all soft like Tubu. Got 'em watching what Sung Jin Moo do. My crew gon' move through. Make 'em upset now they're dropping the QQs. No architect but I keep making new roofs. Act like a Simba you ain't getting woohoo. Moving through impressive they obey my commands. And I begin to through the flames and the ash. Hit to send a message and they play to my plans. I'm a shadow with a legend how I raid on these ants. Games to the match. Talk with a god and then made my demands. I ain't gon' read what you say like an ad. All on my own so go look at my code cause I made it from scratch.
봤어. 나는 게임 친 적이 없어. 넘어 got no limit crank it up to max to better. 착각하지 마. 내가 제일 잘 나가. Like a solar 빛이 넘쳐. 봤어. 나는 게임 친 적이 없어. 넘어 got no limit crank it up to max to better. 착각하지 마. 내가 제일 잘 나가. Like a solar 빛이 넘쳐. 봤어. 나는 게임 친 적이 없어. 넘어 got no limit crank it up to max to better. 착각하지 마. 내가 제일 잘 나가. Like a solar 빛이 넘쳐. 봤어. 나는 게임 친 적이 없어. 넘어 got no limit crank it up to max to better. 착각하지 마. 내가 제일 잘 나가. Like a solar 빛이 넘쳐.
Yes.
Every time I touch the mic, this man's getting silly cause it's monkey time. Wukong and a ditty, I'm a funky guy. Shape shift, do it tricky, ever customize. It's nothing like the sun where we brush the side. I run them like I won every monster fight. Like what a guy is done, then it's up for time. Cause I'm on more levels like construction sites. Gonna cause a scene in heaven. Keep that stick in my body, that's a lethal weapon. And I'm sick of these guys who wanna teach a lesson. They just want immortal, they ain't beating 7. And I send them out these spirits through a deep depression. Grace say I'm equal to the beast they mentioned. 500 years as a pre-suspension. Say they get into the bread, it's a yeast infection. Losing my level cause I was born from it. Call me a savior, you can't be more honest. They anti-crackers, we're gonna talk grommets. This is a legacy, not a short sonnet. Way that I trend on the topic. Great from my birth to the day that I rest like a rocket. Hate on the best in the office. Making my mess, how I pay my respects to the prophets.
Winds of a storm, they cloud the sky. The sun begins to fade. A wish from the mortals, I hear their cries. The demons, I'll cast them away. I'm a product of the heavens and earth, sent to save you. Outcasted to fade from the devils above. I'm a weapon that hurts those that hate you. So please up to the light of the sun.
They ain't gonna move to my tempo. I do what I want cause I said so. Big in the east but I'm journeying west though. Crossed out my name in the death note. Brushed them aside with a pen stroke. Monkey bars going right over your head bro. Hustle that lane straight for Schwab but he moving like larceny. But he ain't getting my check though. Man I'm too well known. I don't need a focus group. I don't care what a god is supposed to do. When they compare with the sun and the joke's on you. Because I go right through Luffy and Goku too. When I got posted dudes like this a photo booth. Monkey popping noggies way I'm blowing balloons. Cause they ain't in the ring they don't know Lao Tzu. But you ain't do a thing I don't know about you. No permission I don't beg forgiveness. Endless wisdom that you're better witness. Gavin's dissing overhead like nimbus. I'll be in the sky cause I can air my business. Man's too strong to end up blacklisted. Farmer dudes are way too ham-fisted. Monkey king I leave gods addicted. Wukong I'm the product of the
Heavens and earth sent to save you. Outcasted to fade from the devils above. I'm a weapon that hurts those that hate you. So breeze up to the light of the sun.
games behind us. In no particular order, this is the lineup. Hey, the biggest one of the year. You know Among Us is here. Let me be clear. Came out 2 years ago, but now it's getting like hundreds of cheers. Getting imposter and killing someone in electrical just as a rush to my soul. Lights out and the door closed. All you saw was a splatter of blood in the phone. Leave me alone. I'm empty and trash. Who can I trust while I'm finishing tasks? You were too sus when your menacing laugh. Don't tell me to hush if you're killing me last. Avengers assemble. Enemies gonna quake and tremble. When we team up, they don't know what the info. Oh, you got an army? Well, we got a Hulk, Thor, Iron Man, and a Black Widow. Simple. You don't wanna go against a division of kinfolk. We stand it tall. Whenever you need us, put your hand in the ball, raise it up, and we'll answer the call. Coming in swinging on elastic, Spider-Man, mouse, buck, balance. Oh my God, look at those graphics, super fantastic. Hit it with a venom, they about to get blasted. Swinging from a tower, fighting with Tigger and Prowler. Rocks are scurry like cowards. Storyline is a little short, I'd say anybody can beat it in 5 hours. What's colder than a low wind blowing in the north? Yeah, you know it's the ghost of Tsushima. Mongols invaded, we stop those, but General Condos, we hate them, so everybody team up. This one is exclusive to PlayStation and beautiful. Was a game you would want to play it, so step into the shoes of Jin Sakai, your samurai that ride or die, and save this nation. Doom eternal tactics, yeah, we be turning to a classic. Gonna raise hell and we burn it up backwards. Gonna drop shells in the game, get your ass kicked. Friggin' on your aim, first person, it's practice. Slayer in a predator suit, can I come back? This shooting ain't fun if you ain't running and gunning, and it's all wrapped up in a perfect little package. A bunch of little beans falling down on the ground, now everybody running for the finish line. We all got a dream to get a crown when it all goes down. Understand you're not a friend of mine. What a colorful game show, frustrating, but I got on my favorite skin. I don't care what you say, bro, you can hate me, better know that I'm playing to win. Phasmophobia is scary, huh? Nobody wants to be left alone. Man, them ghosts is gonna tear me up. If you don't hurry up, I might be dead and gone. Ghost hunting is too hazardous. Ravenous specters grabbing my neck is creepy as heck. My mental stability leaking, hope my people keep me in check. Warzone, Warzone, I'm shooting straight into your bones. Get to clapping with the Desert Eagle, only shot on twice, but I left 4 holes. Now you scream hallelujah. Get a second chance when you enter the gulag. If you make it out, we not pulling no punches, we'll be bringing it to ya. The PS5 and Xbox release, everybody wanted to get their hands on them. If you wasn't lucky enough to get in line, then you'll be spending over $1,000 on them. Sights up, sold out, Walmart's, Targets, Best Buys, GameStops. Stupid little scalpers buying up all of the consoles, blaming on the lame bots. CD Projekt Red made a mess. Cyberpunk should still be on the shelf. Shady practices on last gen, resulting in crashes and glitches. PSN removed the game from the network until they make patches and fixes. This year was kinda hard, so I ain't gonna be too critical. COVID took a toll on a lot of folks, so putting out a video game was kinda like a miracle. With that said, I salute the developers, programmers, you video game makers. 2020 really was a big year major. 2021 has got to be even greater.
Another's on the rise. So when you hear the song, wear a mask, stay inside. 2020 gotta go. It's time to say goodbye. 2021 is on us. Throw controllers in the sky.
Spreading through this a domain expansion. Fighting me is stupid, you domain expanding. Can't afford losing.
Anytime in space, not a day, I can make you win. Running figure eights around your face, that's a shake 'em in. Now you got a bout of me, you will learn today, my friend. I am not a copy of your favorite ninja sensei. I said let me break ice, why you wanna shake dice? Fighting me's a gamble, I got 6 eyes, you got snake eyes. Kano got the 4, but I can't see for your sake, right? Have my fingers crossed when I promise that I won't take your life. Jogo wish he was me, but it's backwards, awkward. I'm Gojo with the curse reverse, so called a witch doctor. See him blow his top off, so I took it like a barber. Hearing your negative energy, my advice is grow stronger. Making the seconds feel like it was hours till you're part of history. All of your words from a coward, so your cursing ain't shit to me. Claiming that you're the toughest, so sorry, but I didn't see. What is the difference between the two levels of power? Infinity? My name's spreading through this domain expansion. Fighting me is stupid, your domain expanded. Can't afford losing, don't make expenses. Place a bet on me and your domain expanding. Cursed energy, don't make me expand it. Any enemy, domination expected. Your girl's into me, I'm dope, make her expand it. Eyes got her singing domain, and she pants. See the wonder who's behind these blue eyes. Look inside and you'll see a world of void. Goodbye, you're lost in them, whether you're a girl or boy. I'm blind, sorry my love isn't. Blindfold ain't king it, so you stay alive. Only love catching curses, I ain't trying to catch a case. Someone bets a hearses just in case I gotta demonstrate my new skill. Red or blue pill, you decide. If not, see the hollow perp, smoke you from the inside. Elimination, leave you limitless and limitless. I'm living from Lacey Olympic. Your liver is leaking your liquids. I'm living limitless and limousines when you would listen to my limerick. Look at them all scared like I couldn't see through a veil. They think I suck from weight until I create a vacuum. You'll fail. These ladies want the tallest guy. I'm 100 feet in the air. My shine is so blinding at night. I got some glasses that I wear. See my iris focus smirking when I fight these hopeless curses in my sights. You know it's certain that it's time to close the curtain. Yeah. My name's spreading through this domain expansion. Fighting me is stupid. Your domain expanding. Can't afford losing. Don't make expenses. Place a bet on me and your domain expanding. Cursed energy. Don't make me expand it. Any enemy. Domination expected. Your girl's into me. I'm dope. Make her expand it. Eyes got her singing domain, but she can't.
Domain expansion. Eyes got her singing domain, and she fancies.
V2, here we go again, boys. I'm surrounded by good bro. Let's get it. Yeah. Man, look out, there's a bear in the booth and he's about to say some wild shit, scaring the youth. When he stacks so high, got an aerial view. Try to tell me I ain't rich, homie, where is the proof? Homie, where is the proof? Man, the proof's in the pudding. Trying to catch me slipping like I'm losing my footing. Got the tool I'm on took and got a move in the duck and try to fight me shocked like a blueberry muffin. Man, need a bug flip summon like a blind girl hooker. Boy, they never saw me coming. Yeah, that line about it too. They might have chicken body bluffing, but I bet you'll find out soon if you gon' keep on yapping, youngin'. Back to the music, I'm sick of the violence. Back to the stew, never finished with grinding. Back to the macking, I'm back to the sackers. I'm banging the body, I'm banging the finest. This shit is nasty. Don't play my tracks when in front of your family. I don't like rapping about fighting and battery, but some days I wanna go curbs up a Nazi. Don't at me, my naughties are full. I'm a beast, act sheepish, I'm running your wall. My contacts are artists, been puppets in school. In fact, here comes one now. Yo, damn bull.
I'm a little bit braggy, a little bit saucy. My willy's even bigger than a horsey. Not a horse's willy, but an actual horse. From the head to the tail, from the shaft to the balls. Leave a gap in the track for a pause. Note the lack of applause. Ha! But of course I'm used to it. It's the children that are wrong if they don't choose to consume my shit. Cop the feeling it's not the prettiest topic really of pop shit areas. I got the feeling it's pop hilarious. Stop the prurience. What? I'm serious. That's the problem. That's what it's sharing. It's not fulfilling in his pop career. He's just profiteering off of non-manure related topics here and mopping up the millions. And I'm not here for it. We need more songs full of cocks and urine in them. Lots of sperm in them, like cubicle walls and toilet blocks in Birmingham. Too many balls, gotta mop detergent, they get cleaned in the floor because we've got an urgent. I don't know what I mean anymore. Sorry, I just followed the stream of my consciousness, and I clearly really need a psychologist. Please accept my deepest apologies for wrecking the track, Schwabberdy. I acknowledge this. But at least I'm not misreading politics like that Wally Tom bleeding McDonald is. I'm gonna regret saying this because of his toxic fan base and that, but seriously, what a div. Danny B, Rustage, Connor Q and Twelany, my anime family, wrapping up a cabaret. We're serving your call it cabaret. Who'd have thought a bunch of nerds indoors would come to form a caliphate? That's a hell of an elaborate way to collaborate. 4 white monsters at once can caffeinate. Now extrapolate that all over the map. It's a nerdcore global attack, all known for the fact that we're so good at rap that we've broken the track and there's no going back. It
Took an age for this mug to get discovered. Now there's people with mugs that have my name in the cupboards. Used to celebrate 100 subs, drink and get on it. If I did that now, I'd be a fucking alcoholic. Fill my Amazon basket full of MAGA gadgets. Then can tell my account they need to add them for taxes. I remember being skeptical about this whole rap shit. Banking everything I had, it was a gamble. But I mean, what's the worst that could happen? The world is collapsing cause hers was stacking. Can't see my girl without a permit to pass. And Cali's burning to ash. And pandemic surgeon is rapping. And there's a fucking fifth purge move. I'm just making the best of an also perfect circumstance. I've been trapped in on a vibe. There's a few set on killing it. Attacking little nerds with a passion. Really your first plan of action. That's some cartoon villain shit. Have you got nothing better to do? Embellishing truth, repetitive views. It's making this news. Yearly foot like a wage, I just spend it on shoes. Nah, I'm kidding, but my house has space if you have rent for the room. Baddie barge by and pass through your guard. Boy is always on the ball, call him Schwab or Jabbar. Got me rapping with my second and third favourite Daniels. The first being Jack on the rocks with a glass full.
I don't even care if you're into me. Listen, these words hit hard like a dictionary. They try to solve success like a mystery. You either try your best or get Italy. I'm like Pinocchio, but I can tell lies. Get out my magnum, I'm leaving them ice. I'm like Hikaru, I've pre-moved my life. And like Sigma, I've shifted into a new time. I got ups on my line, I got bare baddies. But they know I got bite like I'm bare baddie. Cause there ain't no surprise that they fare badly. But they looking for rhymes, be like, where's Danny? Ay, I'm staying gas like a steampunk. Hold at the top like a ski jump. This ain't a game, it's a redux. You wanna beat us, can't even keep up. They ain't got nothing on, watch Robert D does. Green on my mind like it's crash course. Pricks wanna ride on the track like the Grand Tour. I can spit the worst verse on a song, but they ain't ever gonna put Rustage in the animal. Hoarding all the wealth like a landlord. Money for my clips like it's trash talk. Pussy stepping up like a catwalk. I'ma sit by cause they know that's what this ass for.
Heavy set ghost. Shout out to Style Speed, you can find me ripping MIC since 9-3. Wearing black like the MIBs, don't mind me MCs. You ain't in my league, you gotta be yet another caliber to be considered a challenger. Post up on most ducks, mimicking parature. Combos of lies when they hit it, embarrass ya. And you gon' make me really slip and get out of character. Back in the days I was shy and embarrassed. Now what I write in a tablet has got me flying to Paris, and that's whoa. Rocking the flyers, the fabrics until I lie in the casket. Remember, I am a classic, let's go. Mega taking your breath away. Soon as you press and play, you'll be in ecstasy. So I'ma spit those bars over these beats so hard that they remind you of freshman day. Used to want the double XL, now I'm a 3X. Used to call me idiot, now they call me genius. I ain't with the BS, you see it and you believe it. And your arms too short to box you like a T-Rex. Fat boy with the retro tees, got the whole crowd spazzing like they just OD. Rep your team, just recognize that we running it. I'm providing the punishment, you deny but you loving it, huh? Presidential steeds on my Jack Tunney. They see me on the move, so they act funny. No plan, trying to get up on my grown man. Who else in the state fund the honeymoon with rap money? Yeah. Spit game, rip lanes, dudes are confused like bloods at a Knicks game. Shoot the lights out, I'ma book a flight now just to bump YG in front of the White House. I never said I'm the greatest, I never said that I made it. I said I'm only a player that came in here to make a statement. I don't care where I'm rated. Come correct with the payment, I bring it to you like a waiter. Dion, beyond, you a peon. You ain't a rapper, finally something we agree on. Undefeated rapper leaders, don't mention me with anyone in figs unless you put greater than between it. If you're scared, go to church. I solemnly swear that I've been a problem, homie. And if you dare spit that verse, you read it, I eat it, and I delete it, homie. If you scared, go to church. Make it rare, get that flow, the best flow, you know. And if you dare spit that verse, you probably should get committed or maybe consider quitting. What up?
Work while I eat and I can't sleep. Cause while I sleep, somebody's getting ahead of me. They try to hang, but they're falling behind steadily, heavily, relying every minute that I get to breathe on drive that survives despite every job that's rescued me from struggle, rap, and poverty. Stricken, scared of the enemies that have gotta be getting theoretically in the studio and dropping these disses. Hoping the proper attention will lead to spots of convictions. I help me top competition with any contender who's thinking they can knock at me. Listen, I've dealt with surface lurking, but I'm never moccasin bitten. Steadily cooking, you can smell it, that's a rock with the written. Guess I'm feeling myself if the kid could surmise a guess. Challengers get exploded the way a TIE fighter gets one face and the Falcon Han's gonna yell it, yes it's great. Listen homie, I don't mean to get this way. I just zone and then I lyrically elevate. Dangerous and heinous is bison when he levitates. Poseidon and Trident fighting Odyssean renegades. Deep water, oceanic flows, I manipulate. I feel so I lack hunger, someone's getting ate up. I throw plates and stack numbers, lift your weight up. The dream is getting stronger, yo, this isn't made up. I won't get any younger, so I hit it straight.
If you're scared, go to church. I solemnly swear that I've been a problem, homie. And if you dare spit that verse, you read it, I eat it, and I delete it, homie. If you scared, go to church. Make it rare, get that flow, the best flow, you know. And if you dare spit that verse, you probably should get committed or maybe consider quitting. What up?
broken.
Yo, I see your palms are sweaty, here's a natural glisten. Are you nervous against me? Cause you got an ego, so you always flexing. Man, blow off some steam, I make the ice start melting. Cause Adrian was the only friend you could pull. I'll put the one that you when you've been through this. You lower your pride, cause you seem like the kind of guy to try to AP shoot up the school.
Bakugo,
Todoroki,
who's the greatest?
no one knows.
I explode,
Then I froze.
yeah, I'm hot,
but I'm cold.
Heroes want me to enroll.
Yeah, you know I gotta go.
Oh, sorry. It was going pretty well. I'm just wrapping up for the night. But basically, I'm almost done with beginning monos. I have the three big ones to get to them powered. I'm one before that. I'm on my own Reign of Dragons. Or, I think I'm on Reign of Dragons. Build is starting to come together. I went from a Hammered In with Disintegrating Aura, and I went Void Knight as a start, and it worked really well. Like, all these people who are like, yeah, you gotta go Paladin and blah blah blah. It's like, I don't think you really need to. Void Reversal, when you spec into it, guarantees an echo, and that echo is really good, depending on like how much cooldown recovery you have. Mine is enough that I have Permanent Frenzy, I have the echo that's guaranteed, I shoot out Void Bolts, which caused, well, they did cause Time Rot, and I got Oriana's Descent at this point on my multi-strike build. So I have multi-strike with echoes guaranteed. My echoes get extra swords, and every hit has a chance to proc Oriana's Descent, which causes more smites. And so I'm basically smiting on my smites. Or every time I do a Void Reversal, I have 6 bolts that shoot out. 3 from my starting point, 3 from my arrival point, and then they return. So I have double hits that can occur. You can get, I guess, like, you can't shotgun, but that means I get 4 hits. And I have something like a 35% chance to trigger a smite, which means that I could just Void Reversal and sometimes kill a bunch of mobs. So it's pretty nice. I definitely think like the Hammered In into whatever build you want to do is really good. If you go from like, you can go from the music. You can go from Forge Guard as well with it. Like, it just works any build, because you start in Forge Guard. You can pick up the 5 points and get extra bleed chance or more damage. The bleed chance is most optimal with an axe, and from there, like, you keep going. You can pick up the throwing damage as well in Forge Guard, which means like you're making your hammers do more damage. You don't need to opt for like Disintegrating Aura. I opted for that in part because I was going Void Knight anyway, so like void damage is getting leeched in comparison to like anything else. Just made more sense to build Void rather than anything else. I don't know if you're still here, Zeit, but yeah, that's how I started. In part because, like everyone was saying, Hammer's the best. And I was actually doing both Hammer and Rive because occasionally you run out of some mana. And so I just decided to spec Rive, in part because I was not sure Devourer Void Knight. Yeah, the Devourer Void Knight from, well, pretty much everyone swapped out around 40. Yeah, that makes sense. The Devourer Void Knight is quite nice. I was watching Perry. He's doing a smite, I think a smite dot Void Knight, which is really like the change that they made to make smite selectable or toggleable between between void, lightning, or leaving it as fire is really nice, because the void now is actually, smite's been buffed indirectly by that. Even though you have to burn a point, it's actually been buffed, feels like, because the time rot damage is so good that increasing your void damage just naturally makes time rot even better. So you just wind up in this cycle of you're smiting, you're dotting, and it just is as good, if not better, than the smite at times. And then same thing happens with the Devourer. Devouring Orb has a bunch of like good, if I remember, more damage nodes on there. I think it's, if I remember correctly. You can get Void Resistant Shredding, which is quite nice. Or you can go with like more frequent Devouring Orb damage, getting shot out. You get the auto casting, so like they're basically symbols of hope. I had actually looked at it, so like back when they showed all these builds, or not all these builds, but back after, or when they released the patch notes, just went to work on, you know, my theory crafting. The problem in my builds for fitting it in is like I don't know what I drop. So my full build will be multi-strike, smite, void reversal, symbols of hope, and anomaly. Now, what do you drop there? You could drop the void reversal. That is definitely possible. You can use an untalented void reversal as your traversal skill. You could even use Healing Hands in the build, because Healing Hands can scale off spell damage. The downside, of course, is like Healing Hands is not void damage, so it's going to lose some value. Technically, right now, I am in that situation where my void reversal is no longer void damage, because if you're not familiar with see if I can pull it up here. Oriana's descent. Oriana's descent is a new unique that they actually added in, which is incredible. If this picks it up now, there we go. Orion's descent is chance to cast smite on hit, max of 6 per 10 seconds, and it resets every time you use a potion. So that means like when you run over a potion, it just resets as well. Every time you use a potion, also restores volatile reversals cooldown. Now, this is the downside. If you have at least 50 intelligence, it does 20% more void damage. If you don't have 50 intelligence, you kind of get screwed over, and you get it turned into fire. And then on top of that, you get 4 to 25 intelligence. You get 55% increased chance to find potions, or 8 to 16 mana gained on potion use. Now, the stats I have on here are actually nearly perfect. If it had LP, I basically have like a perfect belt. Got a 37% chance, something like that. I got the 25. I have like a 45 and I got a 16 mana gained on potion use. So that means even if I don't hit a potion, I get 6 extra smites in every 10 seconds, right? So that's basically, if you will, I get a smite every 2 seconds. Keep the math simple, or 1.5 seconds. Yeah, something like about 1.5 seconds, which isn't, fantastic when you think of it like that. But because you can reset it, you can still make it pretty valuable. And because it's actually really good for mapping, right? Like you're more likely to run over potions while you're mapping, and then it just like naturally resets without you doing anything as well. Obviously, it's not like a hard requirement to use this, but it's a pretty good idea, I think, in the build. So this is basically what I'm going for, which is that's the Orion's Descent, and I wanted to try this out. This is me being a little crazy, which is trying the Essence Weaver, because the Essence Weaver, for starters, is a Weaver's Will item, right? Which means it'll never get LP, but it can get some crazy stuff on here as well. Like you can get double, exalts on here. The big thing is actually, it's a couple of things. One is that at 9 stacks of Elemental Essence, you get an opportunity to cast Smite, Frostclaw, or Stormbolt. And you can get a stack 9 times per 3 seconds. So, that's 3 a second, if you will. And because it's multi-strike, you're always going to be hitting. And at 9 stacks, you now this is not actually clarified anywhere, is if it's you randomly cast 9 of the same spell, or is every spell you cast a different spell. So if you get 9 smites off, that's freaking nuts, right? Like every 3 seconds, you're getting potentially 9 extra smites in here. And every time it's cast, those 9 spells get triple the value of the stats on the Essence Weaver, which means Smite would be getting a 210 spell damage every time it randomly were cast. Now, the downside, of course, is like you don't get the increased elemental damage applied to it because it's not elemental, which is where I've thought about like maybe it would make more sense to play this instead of a Void. Maybe it would make more sense to try this as a Paladin, or even leave it as a Void Knight, but don't convert it. So that way you get more of these going off. And now I have no clue what happens with echoes. Like if you echo the skill, will your Essence Weaver Spear have any impact on your echoes? Meaning, obviously, can they hit 9 times? Probably not. That's probably have enough echo duration that they hit 9 times. But if they did, I wonder if it would go off. And the other side is, even if it doesn't go off, the idea in this build was that you would actually hit 94% critical chance. Because you would get 5% from the Void Knight tree, 5% from the Forge Guard tree, and obviously the base. That would give you 15% crit without any increased crit chance. And the fact of the matter is, you get increased crit chance from being a Void Knight as well, and you can get increased crit chance from your Symbols of Hope. So you can basically get passively 130 crit chance, which means that you actually have, if you did nothing else, you would have 30% crit chance to keep the math simple. Obviously have more than that, but a 30% crit chance with nothing else, which is pretty low item investment when you get down to it, right? Like you don't even need a build for crit if you really don't want to. And if you could build this much crit, that means in your tree, in your smite, you literally do not need any conviction. Like you don't need to use it. You have 100% crit chance, or close to 100% crit chance when it's all said and done, which is pretty bonkers. Now this is me theory crafting, and the sacrifice health cost though is not doable right now, like as a 1 out of 5. There is a champion. I'm not sure if you've seen them yet. There's a champion item which is reduced. I think it's on neck. I don't know. It's 20% reduced health costs, which means that if you had that node, I don't know how it, or if you had that affix, I don't know how it pairs up with smite, right? Like you sacrifice 15% of your current health. And you decrease that by 20%. And if you decreased it first by 20%, is it additive, right? Like you essentially have a 4 out of 5 on here and have 100% no cost to your health, which is kind of nice to have an affix free up a point if you wanted to ensure that. Like you don't actually need 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5. I'm playing it right now with what is it on? 3 out of 5? 3 out of 5 seems manageable because I have volatile up here, right? Like increased health. I have my actual tree and the passive tree. This isn't exactly what I have, but I have 2.5 void damage leached, increased leech rate of 20%, and I have increased leech over here, which I think I did a 5 out of 5 here in my real build, like in live right now. So I have a 3.5% void damage, plus increased leech rate 50% plus 20%, and then there's something else with another leech rate on it that I have. Oh yeah, the anomaly. This leech is pretty low, so insignificant. And then anomaly has leech rate right on there as well of 100%. And then this has 1% in doubled for void damage. So like, what is it? Something like 5% getting leeched with 100% increased leech rate as well on there. Is being manageable. It's definitely a lot more risky than just like maxing it out because I'm losing health, healing through the leech, and I'm getting hit. So like at a certain point, I probably need to swap it. But yeah, this was the goal, the build, for the most part. There's also what do you call it? This was another possibility I was thinking of, which is you could use Void Reversal to trigger your Abyssal Echoes, and Abyssal Echoes now becomes another like AFK ability, much like Devouring Orb. Now, I don't know numerically if people have tested out if Devouring Orb's scaling is better than like what Abyssal gives you, because Abyssal also gives you a 20% extra damage buff, right? And attack speed buff. Last I read that Embrace the Darkness works without you actually triggering it literally directly, like it's usable through another skill. So I don't know if having a 20% damage buff from Embrace the darkness is better than Symbols of Hope, because Symbols of Hope gives you, in this build, you have 80% extra damage there. You get 12 extra damage. And then you get 60. I mean, since you're playing Devourer, you probably are using symbols in the build, and 60% here. Now, that's where I don't know if it's actually better or not. Like, is getting flat 12 better with some endurance? And yeah, and some endurance and crit. Like, is this going to be better for your build or my build? I think it's kind of the same difference, honestly, other than the fact that I use Volatile Reversal, which I don't think I've seen anyone use that, because almost, or a lot of them are using, actually, no, there's Max Rolls one, if I remember, that I had taken a look at, which is Build Guides. And Timer Up Void Knight, yes. This is the one that I saw as well. Timer at Void Knight does pick this up, and then you get a couple things here. You get the Nether Convergence. I'm not sure which version of the build you're following has. I'm actually surprised by some of these choices. Taking a look at it, like, this makes sense. Like, these two are, like, this is almost like you have to take this if you're playing it. What's weird to me is picking up one Void Essence in a Devouring Horde build. And I guess that's actually why he saves the points entirely in this version, because I've been seeing people normally without, like I said, the Volatile Reversal, and they're using this to get the essence as well. And it doesn't have autocast. Oh yeah, this is not an autocast build. That's right. There's an autocast version, which is, I think, more popular for a variety of reasons. It's kind of fun to be able to just like hit one or two skills and have a whole bunch of extra damage and a whole bunch of other things going on, instead of playing piano builds. Like, every 5 seconds, if I want to play optimally, I have to go and use Volatile Reversal. And if I want to really optimize it, I actually need to run away from the boss to use Reclaimed Action on here. But whoa, that's really weird. The graphics disappeared. But like I was saying, I don't know how you beat Anomaly where void damage taken is plus 50%. It's just like really hard for me to understand how you do it. And then you can even have, right, Time Rot on here, which then gets extra penetration anyways. Like, if you're playing a Time Rot version, there's wait, what? It's a single hit? Oh, all enemies, but still a single hit. Yeah, like, I still don't understand why they don't change some of these things. Meaning, like, how many people actually pick up Time Wave? Like, who's picking up Time Wave? They use Anomaly. Now, like, maybe if Time Wave was insane scaling, it would make sense to do it. And things like Time Lock, like, who's picking up Time Lock? Maybe if you're playing, what was it? Someone, I think it was Dread, who was pointing out, like, you can now go with the Weaver to basically avoid ever having to go to a boss, because of the fact that you can get boss drops occur on the timeline from the Weaver tree, which means that in theory you actually could play Time Lock now, I suppose, right? You can go time lock things, never have to worry about bossing, and have like a super powered anomaly, which would be crazy. I mean, although you're trading out obviously cooldown over here, right? A pretty big cooldown, but one that you could probably work around between like spending points in here for cooldown recovery instead if you want. And if you get like Sentinel the Erased, the relic, getting an extra point there. Now, yeah, I wasn't sure if volatile reversal with the void bolts, guaranteed echo, extra speed from frenzy, and getting myself void essences here is better than like devour, or once again like replace symbols of hope with more spell casting and picking up abyssal echoes. So it's something I might try once my build is a little more polished and see, because there's also possibilities of getting things that have even more crit chance on there, or saying like, okay, I can move Heavenly Justice into Iron Symbols, and now that gives me even more endurance threshold, right? Endurance threshold of 120 isn't, you know, amazing, but it's also not terrible. Or even better, like moving it in and getting block chance per active symbol. Right? Like block chance per active symbol, or Sign of the Guardian is possibly one of the strongest block chance nodes in the entire game, as far as I know. I mean, how many nodes give you 12, essentially, in this case, 12 block chance with like no effort, right? And pathing that's pretty trivial and with almost no downside. Like, who the hell is using symbols on other people 99% of the time, right? They're mostly playing the game themselves. So you're actually now getting a benefit from meditation of even more, you know, regen, which for them gets you 80, and then you get 160 out of the health regen, which with the new affixes too of like health regen plus added health, you will have some insane health regens now as well. So like it's wild. And the other thing that's changed, so what I'm doing right now is actually I have the Forgotten Night set. The Forgotten Night set is actually low-key probably one of the only sets I think in the game, other than like maybe the Shattered Land set, that actually was usable, I think, throughout the game. I think, personally. Now that they made Time Rot so much better, that the Forgotten Night set actually went from like, this is okay, like you can play this pretty far into the game, to being like, I think actually viable. Oh, is she? Okay. It would make a lot of sense. Yeah, and you can break it apart, but here's the reason why you may not want to break it apart. I'm not sure if you have taken a look at it. Like I've theory crafted this previously when I've looked at this. It doesn't really matter the weapon, but here's what happens to your sword. You get void damage and chance to gain haste, right? So if you apply it to your sword, you need spell damage to make up for it. So now you're kind of in this catch-22 of like, cool, I just applied to get the Forgotten Night set bonus, but you don't have spell damage. So if you want spell damage, it's now like, okay, well, I guess I got to go and get a tier 7, right? Like that's how good the Blade of the Forgotten Night Reforged is. Or sorry, not the Reforged, but the base. It's the equivalent of a tier 7 spell blade. Is there? If there is, that's insane. No, so the Nagus scimitar is being used for a Nagasa scimitar is being used because of the increased damage over time, which is what um, scales the damage on devouring orbs. If I remember as well. Because it's not a two-handed sword, right? Well, it has to be a one-handed sword in order to apply it. So this is one of the reasons I was like, oh, is this actually good? And here's another thing. The Forgotten Knight set already comes with 70% increased void damage on there and increased attack and cast speed. Now, if you're not actually attacking because you're, devouring orb is doing all the work automatically, then that doesn't do anything. But the increased void damage is just as good as the increased damage over time. In fact, like technically, it would be better if you're not getting any like chance to bleed, chance to ignite, electrify. Like if you're not getting those, damage over time is just flat out worse than the Blade of the Forgotten Knight. I don't know if you play Circle of Fortune or Merchant's Guild, but to put this in perspective, I used the Weaver Tree to imprint the shield. The reason I did that is because I found a bug that caused me to lose my Forgotten Knight sword. Bug right now with Perma Frenzy Haste without items though. Oh, that you're not actually keeping the haste if you like infinitely hit. Is that what you're saying? Bug is like it doesn't actually set it or restack it. Oh, okay. Yeah, what you can also do is, I tried this only because it's a Weaver's Will item, is there's the Weaver's Will, I actually just got a second pair to go through, which gives you ward every time you refresh the haste. Yes, so Anomaly will get you haste as well. It's, I actually think it's not worth it because of the awkwardness. The reason I say that is if you're playing this with the anchor timeline, it's not bad. But if you're using this as your main traversal skill, because when I tried anchor timeline, it basically never triggered reclaim action, even though this says you're supposed to travel only 4 meters for it to work. And this says, I don't know where it said it, but oh, here it does. It says the max jump distance is reduced to 6 meters from 20, which should be enough for reclaimed action to trigger, but I couldn't get it to trigger. And I removed the point and it started triggering. I was like, I guess it's borked. But then I really like using teleport because it's infinitely better than using any other movement skill in the game. Other than teleport or like transplant. Basically, they gave teleport and transplant to sentinels with volatile reversal. And having only a 6 meter movement would suck as a traversal skill. The other thing I found was like the way this works is that this gives you 2 extra seconds. And by default, you have 3 seconds, which means the cooldown is almost 100% perfectly aligned with 2 points in here. Like it's a 5.5 second cooldown, which means I get 5 seconds uptime. Now, you have to jump backwards in time for the haste to actually work, which means that if you pick up the the anchor timeline, that will get you the reduced cooldown where you have permanent haste. Like you will get permanent haste. Immutable. Oh, immutable past. It keeps the haste. It doesn't. Okay. The second combo is removed and it just gives you it. Oh, I did not know that. That sounds like in a weird unintended or intended interaction. Yeah, the reason I think it's unintended is only because of the fact that the wording on here specifically says when you jump backwards in time. You literally cannot jump backwards in time anymore. And the other reason I think that's like they have made nodes like this before. Like I was looking at Black Hole, for instance, on Sork. I actually have that build up, but Black Hole has specifically just to show, since it didn't really change anything here. I haven't played a Sork, so like this build is pretty ass. But then I realized over here, this says you can only have one black hole can be created at a time. And I was like, why the hell would they make a node to get you a second black hole in like the same exact area? And then so like I feel like it's the same design. Is that having the ability to keep up permanent haste because you can jump back actually seems like supposed to be the downside, right? Like you cannot get the haste benefit anymore. You cannot, because when you recall, you also get void bolts occur. So as an example, like if you removed the second combo, it would just be weird. Now, if you had future focus, I could understand catching up still working, where catching up would trigger off of like having a second combo ability actually pressed, because that's the whole thing, is you have to go backwards in time for the haste to actually occur. So if you never press the ability again, it must be triggering catching up, treating it as your reversal, right? Which just thematically doesn't even make sense for it to work catching up, because literally that's the whole point. Like you go forward in time, if you will, like you're jumping forward and then you're reversing back in time, hence you're catching up, getting haste to go speed up and get got back up in time. Yeah, the biggest thing for me is trying out keeping is volatile reversal worth it, is symbols of hope better than Abyssal Echoes, is Anomaly better than Abyssal Echoes? That's probably a yes. Is it better than Devouring Warp? I assume 50% extra damage taken is going to be better as well. But it's supposed to cast on all the so like on here, it will cast void bolts from your starting location, and when you arrive, it'll cast them regardless of if you have if you use a second combo. Like this is actually not attached to the second combo. I almost never reverse in time, which is also why like I have no intention of pumping this up. So here's another reason that I was like, okay, this set is actually goated. And so if I go and back to that sword, right? Like there's actually, if we look at, even if we care about melee damage, right? The only thing that would actually make sense is if you can somehow change your attacks to be elemental, so you get extra elemental damage in melee attack speed. But because you don't care about the melee damage in this build, that's why like the only sword that makes sense is this, which then is like, okay, well, your prefix then becomes that like damage over time, right? You're basically trying to maximize damage over time, and unless you can get a spell, right? Spell plus damage. This might still make up for it in the day. I don't know. I this is where like calculating damage is much more complex than just one item. It's very similar to like World of Warcraft, where people say, is this item better? It's like you got to sim it, because like in a vacuum, yes, it's probably better, but how each stat impacts you is massive, right? Like a good example is items that have low flat damage. Flat damage is incredibly high value, but you also need to take into account like how much increased damage you have and how much more damage you have. And those things will then also impact it. So that's the sword. I like looking at the sword once again. It just has so many stats on here. Like if you don't care about this aspect, even you still get a 15%er on there, which I don't know how much attacking actually occurs, but this is also good because I think the attack and cast speed apply the passive of, what is it? This one, the rock grip, right? Extra damage from slow chance, from your actual time rot chance with void skills, and your attacker cast speeds, right? So you would actually get 15% time rot damage just from this. Or sorry, 15% more damage, I should say. Not. So now the shield, this is where the shield is pretty insane. Like the shields can get you up to 105 void damage. Now its big thing is actually the 50% less void damage taken on block, right? This is kind of meh, whatever. Like you stack so much time rot quickly enough at a certain point that doesn't really matter. You also get 49% block chance roughly, which is a pretty high block. It's just like incredibly low block effectiveness, which with rings, like you obviously can go and get kind of like doubling your block effectiveness. Now, better shield definitely exists in terms of right, like you can get 35 block chance and or even more block effectiveness. Now, this is where it gets interesting because, okay, you can go and pick this up, but look at the difference here. You only can get on a tier 5 19 to 25% void damage taken on block, and only a 60%er on here, and it's still a prefix, right? So you're still going to have to suffer. Like if you're lucky, you get yourself a tier 7. But then when you go and look at the item on the Defiance of Forgotten Knight, you're already in a tier 7 range. Like the top end is your lowest tier 7 roll. Your top end here, as I don't know how you get tier 7 of these shards actually on your item, because unless they can crit up to tier 7, I guess it's possible, but that's highly unlikely. Like, in reality, you're going to be losing out on another 25% less void damage taken on block. And with the new passive tree, that's actually insane, because I didn't think about this until I got the set. I was like, wait a second. And this is in my old build, which is like, oh, hey, I get 10% damage reduction from my elemental damage. When you calculate out how much damage you're saving with the 50%, it's a lot. And so if you take 50%, or sorry, 70% of 50% damage as void, and it's being reduced. Wait, I said that wrong. 50% of elemental damage is reduced by 70%, right? Because you're taking it as void. And if you block it, of course, you got to block it too. If you take that number and you say, okay, I was going to get hit by 100 damage. 50 of it is still elemental, 50 of it is void. And then I take a 70% damage reduction, you only get hit by 15 damage. So you now have taken 65 damage, which gets you a 35% damage reduction to elemental damage, which is insane when you think about it, of like how high your block is or how high your block can be. And do you want to lose 25% chance on there? Like, it's possible that the increased effectiveness, for instance, on here, on like the Iron Glass or even the Dawn Shield, will make up for that. Like if I just go and apply this and see what the defense says, if actually has it general maybe. Here we go. Block mitigation. This is 34% block mitigation, right? So you would have that, or you would have 20% damage. There's a 14% difference on how much damage is mitigated. Well, so you could trade off that damage, and this is one of the cases that it could be okay. But once again, like, you go and say, let's optimize for like a nice blend, which is the Dawn Shield, I think is the best there. Yeah, the Dawn Shield's the best if you're also taking into account like damage mitigation. And you say, okay, void, this is your void damage. And is there damage over time on here? What other things are on here? You could add more block effectiveness, probably not the way to go. This is where like your block chance, probably going to be your best thing on here. So all you're doing is kind of like making a maybe better one. This is going to be this would be endgame, right? Like you're hoping to hit a 26% block chance on a Dawn Shield, and maybe you can havoc it. Yeah, there we go. That's the way to do it. You have to have your item havoced. I think it's called Rune of Havoc, and swap your tier 5 Void Knight shard for Havocs onto the tier 7. But then if that happens, you're now only getting, once again, you're going back down to, let's say a tier 5, and you get a 12%. Now you're at 42%. 42% versus a 49%. So you've actually will wind up with less unless you can get a double exalted one, which is possible, right? Like double exalted with all the Weaver Tree and all the Circle of Fortune stuff is pretty wild now. So you can wind up with both. Certainly possible. In which case, like, you have a better shield. 100%, right? Like, there you go. This is better than, I believe, this. Like, who really cares about that? This is actually pretty good. The chance to apply Time Rot on hit. That's actually a pretty nice one that isn't very common. That means nothing, and this you get, and this you get. In fact, like, you can actually get more if you get a tier 7, which is also crazy. Think about. Now, the locket is fucking nuts. A locket is one of the best items in the game. And I say that unironically. I'm going to type the word crit. Here's all the items with crit. This is crit chance. This is Gambler's Fallacy, doesn't count. This is minion critical strike chance, doesn't count. Minion critical strike chance again. This, you know, Gambler's Fallacy is an odd duck here. This doesn't count either. This does count. There is literally one unique in the game that gives you critical strike chance. Flat critical strike chance. An amulet. And the only other one is the Void Knight. Plus 3% critical strike chance with Void Knight skills. Now, to be fair, with the Devouring Orb build, I think they're all maximizing the damage over time, right? All of them are based on the dot side of it. So the crit strike chance means, you know, really nothing. The Void Rift, I don't know how good that really is, ultimately. It's not actually considered a dot either. But it's basically the only locket in the game, or amulet in the game, that you can get this. And if we go and take a look at what you actually get, it's garbage. Oh, I put it on here. You get chance to apply Time Rot and chance to create a Void Rift. Chance to create a Void Rift is one of the worst things you could have on here in comparison to having the crit. Now, chance to apply Time Rot on hit might actually be really good, right? That should count, I think, towards the global chance to apply Time Rot, which means you get 14% more damage. Well, sorry, what's the number on the passive? Maybe half that or something. Time Rot per 1% Time Rot chance. It's actually okay, so it's a 28% more damage for Time Rot with Time Rot chance with voice skills. I don't know if that counts actually. This wording is actually very ambiguous or very overly complex. Time Rot chance with void skills. The wording on that is literally just chance to apply, no Time Rot. But yeah, this is by far the worst one to replace in the set, I feel like. Because you're now also comparing to it has increased void damage on there, crit strike, and obviously you can go and put void damage though on any of these. Okay, you can go and get void damage. In fact, you can get even bigger and better void damage with a tier 7. So it comes down to whether or not you need the crit, I think. And you might be able to get around it. Actually, you can't get around it since it's a prefix It's a really shitty prefix, right? So that's what you're looking at, kind of in comparison to like whatever base you choose. Basically, you get 70% more void damage, but you're losing 2 to 3% crit on there. And you can choose a better base, or a base that better suits your needs. So like this is the hardest one, I say, or like the most extreme of the three. For like a build like mine, I want crit chance. A build that isn't caring about crit. Yeah, you 100% want to swap this onto a better base, like a tier 7 increased void damage. And then if the ability also still scales from like added damage, yeah, that's where I was saying, like, this is the most extreme of the set, where this is actually the most goated item, one of the most goated items in the game, despite being a set item. But for a dot build, it doesn't actually have as much value at the same time, right? Because you're 100% always wanting the 3 out of 3 set here. 50% void pen with time rot, 3% more void damage. I'm sure like atrophy, and there's a couple of other things around time rot. But like this is the build that I have right now is a little bit of a, right now it's mostly just crit and big void damage. But I get an insane amount of time rot still, because it's all getting void damage. I'm still actually scaling everything simultaneously. I'm just never going to scale it the same way. I'm not adding more time rot chance. I'm not adding more time rot damage. Ultimately, yeah. The only other thing that sucks, I don't remember if this was the original one too, which is light scaling requires 5 points, and then you're not able to get you can't get void beams unless you actually are casting a smite directly, which is, it feels really, really bad. Like I'm playing multi-strike and renouncement does literally nothing until I get to 5 points. So I'm literally taking 4 points in my build and throwing them in the garbage. That's all that's happening when I use renouncement, which is why I'm pretty certain. Was it? Can I go version? If I go to my old 1.1, wait, night. I have another one. Okay, this is 1.1. But if I look at the passive tree though, yeah, so it is a direct nerf. All right, Zite, have a good night or good morning. I gotta go. Anyways, head to bed at this point. But yeah, they nerfed renouncement. Yeah, what's your I guess, what's your name on there? Okay, cool. Let me see if I can go and add you. Boot it up last epoch. Just be probably 30 seconds. Okay, where's the social? What the hell? Last epoch? Oh. Social? No. Online. Settings. I have to look for it, but since you have to go, might be inside the game. How do you add the friends? I'll just log in real fast. I'm also level 74 to be precise now. I'm logging in. See, social. Here we go. H. Online. Add friend. Site. Does it not say like if that worked? It's weird. Oh, there we go. Offline. Cool. It's actually case insensitive. That's interesting. Yeah, I specifically didn't make myself like SSF or SSA in case I ever played with someone or someone wanted to play with me. All right, have a good night. Thanks for stopping on by.